Hey, hello everyone. My name is Fletch, and today we're welcome to the dynamic duo. And of course, with me, the Batman to my Robin is Chopper Fett.
Hey guys, how are we doing this evening? So today we are going to be talking about visibility and group riding. So I think we even have a special guest waiting to kind of tell us all about his experiences. He's got a lot of them. You guys know him very well.
Exactly. Just before I bring him in, a couple of ground rules though. As you know, with StreamYard, well, not ground rules, but you know how it works out. And with StreamYard is that we can have a maximum of about 6 people at any one time. So if we do get filled up, I will probably have to ask a couple of you to leave after a while. Sorry about that. I apologize straight off. But again, if it's only just the 6 of us, then it doesn't matter, right? Anyway, I'd like to say hello to Jonesy, Superman Kev 2001, and Ty Tennessee, and Mr. G, of course, 1965. So right now, without much further ado, I'd like to say hello to our good friend, JP 1970. Hey, JP.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. So I heard that you're back in school, right? Are you?
Yeah. This time as a student.
I was a student this time.
Yeah, I may not have been clear about that. Yeah, I decided to go back to school because I wanted to get a feel for what the kids must be going through.
That's the reason, huh?
It's been a while. No, actually, I'm going to become a principal, so I have to go back to school. So a vice principal, actually. But so I'm doing about a year and a half program, and it just started. So anyway,
Right.
But it's all good. Life is good.
Well, that's good to hear, man. So basically today, as you can tell from the little topic below, it's about visibility for bikes and bikers. And as you know, JP, I think one of your videos that you put up, you actually had a little setup for your lights, right? And maybe you can walk us through that setup and the reasoning behind that particular setup.
Oh, sure thing, Fletch. So, I was looking at this. I have a 2019 Harley-Davidson Heritage that I ride. And the thing about Harley-Davidson, I don't know why they do this, but they send these brand new bikes. You buy a $20,000 motorcycle, and they put halogen bulbs in it, which is, 30-year-old technology. And,
Exactly.
So it occurred to me that, some lights are LED. So I reached out to the Custom Dynamics. I started. I was watching a bunch of videos online, and it seemed like these guys were kind of the authority on it. So I did some research, and I started out with this is actually the second Custom Dynamics video I did. The first one was on the front turn signals, and they're LED for about $110. You can swap out those halogen bulbs and upgrade to LEDs. And according to Custom Dynamics, not why they love, but what they say about their LEDs is there's 2 main reasons to go with LEDs. And that is so you can see better, as a rider, you can see the road better. And the second reason is so you can be seen better. And I really like the way they came up with that, So, and there's no doubt about it. You're way more visible to other cars, and the visibility by switching to those LEDs. And I don't have any percentages or numbers I can throw at you, but they're a lot brighter. How's that for scientific research?
That's very true. I think there's a lot of people that encourage the LEDs, and I think Harley is moving towards LEDs, and I think a lot of the motorcycles are now moving towards LEDs. But you're right. One of the things that I realize is that I think in 2017 and below, there are no LEDs except for maybe the tail lights. Those bikes that don't have proper brake lights, they have running lights which double as brake lights, and those are the only ones that have LEDs. Anything below 2017, I noticed, has no LEDs. They're all the regular bulbs and stuff, right? Which I think it's really not very good.
Yeah.
So, are the lights at the back are the only ones that you have put on?
Okay, so no, this was the second video I did. I did the rear turn signals, and I did the rear tail light, and but prior to that, I swapped out the front turn signals for the LEDs. And what's really cool about the LED, the Pro Beam, they're called Pro Beam Custom Dynamics lights, is that they also operate as running lights on the front.
Right.
So now instead of just riding around with your headlight on, which all bikes are, right? Isn't that the law, I think, that everywhere headlights are always on? Well, by switching over to these LEDs, and I'm talking about the fronts now, which is a different video, but that's all right. They're running all the time, and they're this kind of white halo, and they're just, I mean, really, it changes the look of the bike. Number one, I've noticed that I can see better, and in lower light situations. Yeah, you'll have to. There it is. Yeah, there you go.
And the ad is
so JP's monetized.
But yeah, and I've noticed that guys I ride with. Sorry, there you go. So you can fast forward a little bit, get past this stuff, but yeah, it's I've noticed the guys I ride with. Like, there you go. If you can pause that or rewind it, or I don't know if you can do that, but yeah, there you go. I mean, so what you've got, and maybe let it advance a little bit. And I really wish stop. Yeah, stop. There you go. Well, okay. It's
there you go.
Perfect. Yeah, if you can see on the, you see the headlight is illuminated, and then you've got the two fog lamps, and then right underneath that fog lamp, that's the Custom Dynamics Pro Beam LED. Look how bright that is.
Yes, definitely, man. I think you mentioned it was a law. Is it a law in the United States to have the lights on in the front, or your headlights on at least?
It sure seems to me like, since I've been riding motorcycles since I was a kid and riding street bikes since I was a teenager, I think so. I mean, I don't know if it's the law or motorcycle manufacturers just do it because it's a good idea. But I bet it's the law. I wonder if we can look that up.
I can say for a fact that in Singapore it's the law.
Okay.
In fact, what happened is that with some exceptions, like the Harleys are all you have to put it on manually, right? I think in the older bikes, but I think in the newer bikes it's fixed. The moment you start up your bike or you just put on your ignition, your headlights come on straight away. So it's mandatory. And they wire it that way, especially even in the older bikes, they wire it straight away. If you don't have a physical switch to put on and off your headlights, they will wire it that when you start up the bike, the headlights come on and it stays on.
Yeah. You know what? I think you're right. And I so I don't know, again, I don't know if it probably is the law. I'm just not up on my law, my road, safety law and everything. But if it's not, it should be, right?
Yeah. So I did a quick Google check, and so I don't think it's an actual law, but like the state of Kansas, for example, says any time from sunset to sunrise, those lights have to be on. So I think what most manufacturers have been doing is, like on my Ford Edge, I have daytime running lights, which aren't necessarily headlights, but they're a light of some sort, which I think is what everyone's going towards. So there is some sort of light coming at you. I don't think it's, again, an actual law, but I think with all the safety that I agree, I think it should be a law. I mean, it makes sense, but then you're going to have people who have like a 1970 Barracuda. Are they going to be required to rewire that original piece of work just to make it new law compliant, I guess? So there's things like that I kind of think about, but
let me, while we're doing this, I'm going to check and see, because it seems So in Kansas, that's the case, huh? So it's strongly
By state.
suggested. It's strongly
Strongly
suggested.
suggested.
Yeah.
Okay, so
strongly
Superman Kev,
suggested.
so Superman Kev, I think probably answers Brett's question. If you have a bike before the light stayed on pre-70s, where he is, you don't have to turn them on.
Okay.
Canadians.
So it depends. But I think I think if I remember correctly, it's from 1990 that Singapore did it, because studies show that, first of all, we have a low silhouette, and if you're checking your mirrors and your blind spot, and you only see this little slim black thing coming at you, you won't be able to have time to react. They had studies that showed that if you had your lights on, instinctively as a driver or a rider, you could actually judge distances. I'm not too sure how true that is, because honestly, I've had people with LEDs behind me, and I couldn't really judge the distance, but I knew they were there, right? So again, I think it's, so long as you are visible, I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day. So with this, and you were mentioning about custom dynamics, what makes them so good? Not that we try to promote them or anything.
Yeah, right. Well, I just was looking around because I know, you can buy these little, LED lights all over the place, right? And that's a good question. Why is custom? Just watching YouTube videos, wanted to do something like this, and I just saw, all these videos where people were putting LED lights on their bikes, and the ones that I was seeing mostly were from Custom Dynamics. So I guess just reputation was what caught my attention. And then I looked in, I went to their website, and it's very impressive, their website. They've got lights for just about, it seemed like every bike, and they've got they've got headlights, fog lamps, turn signals, brake lights, running lights. They've got, I know Blue Bike and Doyle did a video recently where he upgraded some of his lights to Custom Dynamics. And I think he even got, for his saddlebags, they have little, little lights.
I saw that.
Sequentials, yep.
Yeah. And I don't know. I was just really impressed. They're as best I can understand, they're an American company.
Right.
It just seemed like it almost, when I talked to them, because I emailed them and I called them, it just, I was just talking to this nice gal in the office, and it just seemed like like maybe a family company, and I don't know if that's true, but she was just real proud of their product. And she said, we offer a lifetime warranty, 100%. If you don't have if you don't like the product, you send it back and we take care of it, or we troubleshoot it. And we ultimately, she was so confident in her product, and right. I know that's a lot of these other companies, good luck getting somebody on the phone. I called them and somebody answered, and I went, whoa,
wow.
Hello.
That's a good start.
Yeah, that's a good start. So I didn't get, and I've dealt, as you guys probably have too, buying products for these motorcycles. It's not always easy to get somebody on the phone. So
that's true.
And I just know when I reached out and called, somebody picked up, hello, Custom Dynamic. I was like, well, this is a good start. So
I think that shows the difference between maybe some generational gap, because I will avoid the phone call as much as I possibly can, and I will reach out to them on Instagram, their live chats, email, and then when none of that works, I will resort to calling at the very end. But
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, that might be a generational thing. My first thing is to pick up the phone and call. I want to talk to somebody. Yeah. No, that's funny. That is funny. That's funny.
Well, one of the products I don't think you did mention from Custom Dynamics that I actually run on my bike is what they call the triple play. And what this does is it allows you to modulate or control how your brake lights function. So for mine, for example, I want people to really see me when I'm hitting my brake lights. So what mine do is that hyper flashes like 4 times solid, and then hyper flashes again for another 4, then it stays solid until I release the brake. That way the people behind me, it's triggering something in their eye. It's just a little itty bitty controller like that big that you just hide under your seat. But that just goes to show you the kind of range that this company can do. I mean, they go as simple as turn signal lights to actually controlling how your turn signals go, and you can have a wide array of different patterns to choose from for what you're liking.
Exactly. Wow. Yours is a 2000. Yeah. Yours is the lowrider. Is that correct, Brett?
Right, 2009 lowrider. Correct.
Okay. Because if I remember correctly, which is strange because Harley chooses some bikes to do it and some bikes not to do it. On my Sportster 48, the rear lights. We don't have brake lights just like you do, JP. I think it was just basically running lights and brake lights that cover the Sportsters, right? And I was told by a friend that, hey, is there something wrong with your light? Every time you hit the brakes, it starts to flash. So I realized that they put that technology into some of the bikes, but not to every bike, which is really strange, I think. Sorry, I had to get a drink.
It's strange what they do and what they don't do. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, for example, I've been looking at these street glides. You know, I've been looking at my next bike, I guess. And here's something that's kind of I think unusual. But on their more premium bikes like they put, instead of amber lights on the amber turn signals on the rear, they put red. And so
yes,
I had to look at that because when I ordered mine, they wanted to know, well, what do you want? Do you want amber or do you want red? And I said, well, isn't it required to have amber? And they said, not in North America. So in America, you know, in the United States, you can do whatever. You can do red or amber rear tail lights or rear turn signals.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yes, they have to be amber on the front. That is that's the law. But on the rear, you can do whatever you want. So I started looking around and noticing that, well, like I have a Toyota Tacoma, and the turn signals are red. And I thought, you know, you might, and I encourage anybody that's watching this, I encourage you guys, take a look around, take a look at your car or truck or whatever you drive, and, you know, see if the turn signals on the back are red or amber, because in the United States you can do either. However, according to some websites that I looked at, they still say amber is safer. They say amber, the red, if it, you know, kind of tends to blend maybe with the rear tail light. So Brett, for example, when you were talking about your tail light doing that, what color are your rear turn signals?
Mine are also red.
Oh, okay.
So when I even had this when I still had a brake light as well. So the strobing pattern, because when the bike was stock, it was actually an amber turn signal. I switched them out to red because of legality, says it was fine. Yeah. I didn't like the ambers in the back. And so what's actually kind of nice now is the strobe little tool that you have. My turn signals actually now function as brake lights, which they didn't on my lowrider when it was stock. So when I had the brake light and 2 turn signals, all 3 of those worked as brake lights. Now that I deleted the brake light, now it's just my turn signals acting as brake lights, but that's how they currently run.
Oh, I didn't follow you. I didn't realize you must have said that and I didn't catch it.
So I probably didn't say it.
Well, that or I didn't hear you. Whatever. We'll but yeah, so you deleted your rear tail light and you just have brake lights operating or turn signals operating as both turn signals and brake lights. That sounds pretty cool.
Right. So it comes stock on like the newer Street Bobs or newest Street Bobs for Dynas. They didn't have a tail light in the back. FX DLSs and like for the Softails, like the Breakout, they don't have one in the back either. It's just the 2 turn signals. So from the factory, they come with like an 1157 bulb in the back, which allows that brake functionality to work. But if you have 1156s, you can buy this thing from Custom Dynamics, and then you have that functionality as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into this some more. I didn't know all that. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And it's plug and play. It's really, really simple. It's just got a little dial on there for you to keep adjusting. And then when you find the pattern that you think works best for you, you set it and forget it and just put it under the seat and go.
So what was the install? I mean, you say plug and play, that easy?
Yeah. So basically where it would come up from my rear harness where the taillights are coming out through the fender, and before it plugs into the actual rest of the rest of the bike. So you have the fender, right? Let me see if I use my hand here. You got the fender, and then at the fender edge where all your light wiring is coming from, there's usually a connector of some sort.
Right.
This intercepts that connector that allows it to take over the whole system, basically.
Wow.
I'll shoot you some pictures of it sometime next time I have my seat off.
What will they think of next? My God.
I have no idea.
It's great. I know my wife loves it. Like when I'm riding, she's like, your brake lights are awesome. I was like, yeah, I'm glad you're looking at them, because she can get a little distracted.
Sure.
I think
we won't tell her.
yeah, I think it's good to be I think it's good to be visible. And I think earlier I think you talked about the amber and red, right, JP?
Right.
So I just asked my friend who's on one of my friends here anyway that I know in Singapore. He's actually on the chat now. He's Viva la Banana. His name is Glenn. He rides I think it's an FXDR. I think no. He's riding another Dyna. Anyway, the idea was that in Singapore, and he proved me right, was that we cannot put anything other than amber for our rear lights. Right, especially your turn signals, right?
Yeah.
So those that have turn signals and no brake lights and runs as running lights and brakes, it has to be amber. We can't change it to red, even though they offer it, right? We have to put it in. Otherwise, each year when we go for inspection, we're not going to pass. We have to go back, find the stuff, put it back, and then go for inspection again. So again, I'm not sure about what's the reasoning behind that, because people when they see red, people tend to be a little bit more cautious. And when it lights up, they know that you're braking. I think that's how we were trained anyway. And to suddenly and to have it as amber and it's lighted up, and then you're wondering, is this guy going to brake, or is he braking, or what? Right. Yeah. So again, I didn't understand the reasoning behind it. Again, I don't know if Glenn can tell us a little bit if there's any reasoning behind it, but I don't see it. You know, because sometimes
it seems to me safety. You know, I mean, and I do believe. I think just because as human beings, we're conditioned when we see amber, so that's still the turn signals, and red is stop. You know, so I don't know. I think we're just conditioned to that. So I do believe that the amber would be safer, but it took me about 3 hours maybe to fall in love with having red rear turn signals, and now I'm just like, yeah, that's the way it should be. You know, exactly. At first, because it's different. You know, I don't think it's what we're used to. Certainly not in Singapore. It sounds like. You know? Yeah. And in Europe, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Let me cut you off. Keep going, JP.
I was just going to say. I mean, it's odd that in America, and I don't know. It's probably the only darn place that lets you choose between amber and red. Because when I was doing some research on it, I noticed in Europe and other nations that amber is the color, you know, that for those rear turn signals. So it's odd that in America they let you choose, because I really do believe that amber probably is safer.
So I did just Google an FX DLS in Singapore just to see what would come up. And it's interesting because it actually looks like, Fletch, that it uses the same bobbed fender, but they add a brake light underneath it, and they add two amber turn signals to it. So yeah, Harley had to have done something to make it legal for Singapore, given those laws. So that's cool.
Yeah. Hey, while we're looking stuff up, let me share something I looked up here, if I can read it. Back to the headlight deal that we were talking about.
Sure.
This, according to AAA.com, what is that? The American Auto Club Association, maybe? American Auto Association?
Sure.
Every motorcycle must have either one or two headlamps. All headlamps must be of sufficient intensity to reveal a person or vehicle at a distance of at least 100 feet when the motorcycle is operating 25 miles per hour, at least 200 feet between, anyway, and so on. So, yeah, it sounds like it is a law. Or, well, maybe,
for motorcycles, yeah. Maybe I was looking up car law. So, yeah, that definitely, and it makes sense because, like I said, we want to be seen on the on a bike. So, and
that's what they always say, isn't it? Well, I didn't see him.
Yep.
I didn't see him. Yeah,
exactly.
So, couldn't have anything to do with doing this, could it?
Are you crying?
No. I'm texting my girlfriend.
So, I mean,
being distracted.
We do talk about getting seen, and like you were saying, the distracted driver. And I notice what I've been doing lately is, if I see a car either pulling up to an intersection or is already parked there, and I'm, still a ways away, especially if I'm not riding in groups, which we'll get to in a little bit. But if I'm riding solo, I start doing a little swerve action, because what it's going to do is it's going to move their eyeball focusing on your actual headlight back and forth to, again, it's just another thing to alert them that you're there. Just a little small things. If you watch Dan and the Fireman, he's full of safety little tips like that.
Sorry, guys. Hey, thanks, Diesel, for dropping by.
Later,
Sorry,
man.
Brett, you were
Take care. Have a good night. Oh, I'm done.
I think it's absolutely, they do talk about that lane position, as far as being more visible. And I'm like you, Brett. And I'm sure like you too, Fletch. I try to be seen as much as possible, and because I know we're harder to see out there, and so I'll change lane position, and just try to be more visible. I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. I know you guys aren't priests. Well, I don't think you are. But I used to, when I got back into riding street bikes, because I went through a period where I just rode dual sports for about 10 years in my see, how old am I now? I don't know, from about 35.
22.
Yeah, there you go. And when I got back into riding street bikes, I went through a high vis stage where I was so concerned about being seen. I've got the high vis, the yellow helmet, the vest, a jacket. It just doesn't look as cool as my Harley stuff. I got to be honest. So I shelved that, but there's something to visibility, and I think I don't know. Do you guys ever do that? Do you ever wear any high vis stuff?
Fletch, I'll let you go first.
Okay, that being said, I think the stuff that I choose to wear is normally more visible at night. I think I choose a lot of the reflective materials, jackets that are fully reflective. The good thing about, of course, being Harley riders, we tend to buy the merchandise from Harley. And the good thing about a lot of their riding jackets, and you'd be surprised, even the leather jackets that they have. I remember once that we got slowed down for whatever reason, and we were getting into Singapore from Malaysia, and it was like just after sundown. And my friend said he could just follow me. I was so lighted up. So I said, it's just a leather jacket, right? He says, no, he's lighted up, right? So I took it home and I switched off the lights and I shone a torchlight to it, and it literally lit it up, right? So there's a lot of reflective material. So I would tend to try and get more reflective material, more for night riding than day riding. Although I do make sure that I'm not fully black.
Yeah.
At least my helmet's silver, so I can still be seen.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But you're right. I think I was into the high vis when I was doing adventure bikes, just like you. I don't know why the adventure bikers tend to want to be seen for whatever reason. So I have this full suit. It's all yellow, completely, right?
Yeah.
A good-looking yellow. It's not like something that stands. So at least that you could be seen from far. And for whatever reason, I think the adventure riding gear tends to be high vis. as opposed to the Harley ones, right? It's all black and everything else. Which is strange.
Did you look like you were in Kill Bill?
Yeah,
Full getup.
exactly. If I had a katana, I'll be, the bride, right? That's what she was called.
There you go. Yep.
So, but going back to the lights, though, I think earlier you mentioned about the halogens and LEDs. I'm not sure for the Heritage, did it come stock with LEDs?
Okay, so the Heritage came with with an LED headlight.
Right.
And the 2 passing lamps are also LED. And that's where they stop. All the turn signals are halogen, and the rear brake light is halogen. And that would be all the lights. So which is kind of weird. Like, okay, well, so they did those 3 LEDs. Why not do them all? And I know that's been a big complaint that a lot of people. That's one of the first complaints about when somebody gets a new Harley is they go, What's up with all these LED lights still? It's old technology, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you would think a company such as Harley, who could mass produce any part that they needed to, maybe it might increase the cost of your new bike there, JP, maybe $200. But if you would pay $200 more for LEDs all around, and you didn't have to change it out and spend $200 to $300, it's kind of a wash. And then that way, it's just something you don't have to worry about.
Yeah. Well, there's a theory I've heard about that Harley loves putting aftermarket into, so they love creating, having these companies do all that.
Okay, I suppose that
somewhat unique to Harley is that I've ridden Yamahas and Hondas for years. I never really added anything to those bikes, and then I get this Harley and I'm like, well, you got to change the seat. You're going to have to change that seat, right? You guys have done videos on it. That's going to be the first thing you want to do is change that seat. It's like, well, but I just bought the bike. What's wrong with this seat? Well, it's not really meant for, for long rides, and they're right. I mean, you guys are, I was watching your video or live stream or whatever about seats. And you guys may be doing another one soon. I don't know. I know you got a collection of seats over there, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, this guy.
Few too many, actually. So.
Yeah, we're like, well, women have their shoes. We have our shoes, right?
I have my own. I have my own leather.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, and I'm glad that they have the day makers anyway. In fact, for my 2016 Street Bob, it was halogen for headlights. Right, and it was halogen for the turn signals, but LEDs for the rear, which is again really weird.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have a brake light, but since it's running lights and it doubles as running lights and brake lights. So they decided that, okay, this guy needs to be a little bit brighter. So they put LEDs in the back, but in the front, it's halogen and all that. So I swapped it out for the day makers. And that is much better in a way.
Yeah, that is no small investment either.
I know, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's really not cheap.
These go ahead, I'm sorry.
Unless you go the Amazon route like I did and buy a $50 day maker knockoff. It's lasted 3 years, so I can't complain too much yet.
Now, exactly. I have these friends that I ride with, my buddy Bill and his wife Jen, and she rides a 2005 Dyna, and the headlamp is so, it's all halogen bulbs, and that headlight is so dim. I mean, it really is. It really is. And so we were looking at, I wonder what that would cost to replace. They're almost $500. I mean, Custom Dynamics, for example, is almost $500.
Yep.
But then I've also seen those Amazon ones, and I don't know. I mean, what are you going to do?
I think a good middle ground that I have found, and again, we're not promoting any one company here or anything, but Rogue Rider Industries is who I do a lot of my business with. Just personal choice. They're small one-man business basically, and he has his own version of kind of like the Amazon knockoff. Like I think it costs about $50 more than the Amazon, but we bought one for my wife's Sportster, It's bright. It is like it makes mine seem like the halogen again, and it's just it's like about $100. So if she's looking for like an alternative, you might have her go that way if she just wants to just get the safety aspect of it going and not spend $500.
Is there a way to? Can you throw that up somewhere, or can you type? Is there a place over here that you can?
I'll post a link in the side chat here on the YouTube page.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe if you could link that, that'd be fantastic. Because I'd be interested to pass that on. Because I know just about since I started riding with my buddy and his wife, which has been a couple years now, she's been complaining about that headlight, and she. But they're expensive. They're pricey. So
yeah, they are. But I think with the only one good thing that I think for the expense of the day, I'm not sure for the one that you bought off Amazon, Brett, but I can speak only for the Daymaker, is that they have a technology in it that when you take corners, the light swings to actually highlight the corners better, right? So it's not like a straight line.
Oh yeah.
As you take the corner, it would literally light up the corner that you're taking so that you can see much further up, as opposed to lighting the entire road.
Now, Fletch, I don't mean to be rude, but have you ever been to Kansas? There's not a lot.
No.
There's not a lot
of turns.
Just kidding.
You're right. I mean,
like Nevada. Kind of like Nevada. Just a lot of long and straights.
Yeah. But no, I think that's one reason though the Harley does cost a little bit more, because there is, like you said, a little bit of technology actually thrown in there instead of just the bright LED shining at all times. It looks like Superman Kev is running the same light that I'm doing. It's called a Sun Pi LED. Yep, there we go. So that's the one I ended up going with, and then I posted a link in the YouTube chat here for the Rogue Rider one. I think it's like $89 from them right now.
Well, I didn't know. If it's good enough for Superman Kev, what dog is that? Is that yours?
Not mine.
No, that's mine. That's going bananas outside. I have no idea what you're saying.
Mine.
Oh, there you are. Oh, he's a good boy.
That's what happens when they get old, right?
Yeah.
Mine just sleeps all the time. He's no trouble at all. Yeah.
Hey.
Anyway, sorry, I digress.
No worries.
All right.
Sorry, I'm just typing stuff. I'm just saying hello to Webb.
Hey, Webb, how's it going, man?
See, I can't see what you guys can see. So, who all do we have here watching?
We've got Superman Kev. We've got What's Up Bob. We've got Mr. GRD.
Oh, there we go.
We've got Webb, of course, who just joined us. We've got Ala Banana, my good friend Glenn. We've got Ride Your Ride, Diesel's Vlog. And I'm trying to scroll up here and see who else is in here. There's about 10 of them. Jarvis is here. Oh, no, Jarvis just left, right? Yeah. And a few others as well.
On your screen there, JP, on the right-hand side, it probably says like a private chat, and then there should be like a live comments.
Yeah. Oh.
If you go to the live comments, you can see what people are posting in there.
I'm not exactly as technologically savvy as you are. Look at that. Hey,
look at that. Look at all these people talking to you. You're ignoring them.
Oh my god. How do I comment? Sorry, guys.
There should be a little box that says post the comment. And then you click chat. Right.
I see the comments. All right, here, let me see.
Okay, I'm going to put a link in the chat, guys. Could I invite Superman Kevin? Kev, could you click on that link and you come in, and then we'll bring you into the chat?
What version of Kevin would we get? We didn't get Clark. Clark
Kent, do we get
Superman Kev?
Exactly. Do we get Superman Kev or Clark Kev? Anytime you're ready, bro. Hey, my good friend Glenn, who's riding a Dyna in Singapore here, he's just decided to stop watching on his phone and put on his desktop to join in, and probably get him to come and join in a little bit. Glenn, you hang on for a bit. and I hope you can come and join us on this live stream. So hang on. We're still waiting on Superman Kev, and while we're waiting on him,
I'm still trying to figure out how to post comments here. I went to private chat and I threw something out there, but I don't know if anybody saw it.
The private chat will be just between us.
Oh, well,
so you need to go to comments.
Hi, guys. Okay, yeah, I just sent you a message, I guess. All right, so if I go to live, I don't see a place where I can comment.
There's not one for us that I see. Yeah. Well, so when I've been chatting, I have
say hi to everybody.
YouTube.
Sorry, I haven't been ignoring you guys out there. I just noticed your comments, and I swear they have me disabled. I can't comment. So just know. Hi.
Moons isn't another good company for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's popular with Dynas.
Yeah, us Dyna guys, we don't want to pay full price for anything. So our stuff breaks too often. We got to repair it. So we band-aid it and put it back together.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to type out for Superman Kev. I think since we're waiting for him to join us, we were talking earlier about high vis. So the question was thrown to me. So Brett, what sort of gear would you wear? So do you wear high vis gear or you don't wear high vis gear?
I don't wear high vis. That's probably one thing I should do. My mesh jacket is black. It's a Harley-Davidson jacket. My helmet, I guess my helmet's a matte blue, but again, it doesn't really draw someone's attention to anything. The most high vis thing I have is my gold visor, and it's really small compared to the rest of me.
Right.
The my wintertime jacket though has some light reflection on it, so that does help a little bit. And then I started putting some kind of decals and logos. So like the back of my helmet says Chopper Fett now, and that's a high vis decal. So if a headlight hits it, it makes it shine really, really bright. Now I don't ride at night all that often, but I figured can't hurt to light up my backside a little bit. But now I wear safety gear, it's just not high vis.
Well,
can
I interrupt? Sorry, can I interrupt?
Sure.
Fletch was talking about how even the Harley stuff, though, it has the piping a lot of times, or something with that logo. Because I know exactly what you're talking about, Fletch. Even on my black Harley stuff, it has. They're not dumb, right? At Harley, they care about their riders too. Oh, hey.
Yeah. So we got Clark Kev.
Well, kind of both.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt you, JP.
That's all right.
You were saying?
No, I just was saying that you might find there's some piping on some of that Harley stuff that there's probably something reflective. I know I'm like you. I don't ride a lot at night. I don't.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
The one piece that I did have that it worked really good when I was actually commuting to the office is actually, I'll show it to you guys.
Okay.
Well, he's going to get it. Oh, he's right behind. Oh, okay.
Right here. So when I was commuting to the office, I always had to take my laptop home with me anyway, because I could telework if need be. But this thing here, just a little backpack, these stripes here are the high vis reflective stuff on there. So sure. I know when I was riding at 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. to the office, if someone was behind me, they were getting blinded by me basically with that thing on there. So I guess I do have some safety gear when I actually do work. So there you go. Fletch knows how much I work during the week.
That's true. Hey, Kev, why don't you tell us a little bit about the stuff that you did in your bike that would help you make you more visible?
Well, I've done a lot of the same things that you guys have done. I've changed the front lights to LED. I've got the same. Well, I bought all of my stuff. I bought off of Amazon,
right.
But I bought the SunPi driving lights and the SunPi headlight, and I found that it is so bright. It's unbelievably bright. And then I bought these other ones, and I haven't seen them on Amazon. I couldn't get them on Amazon here in Canada, so I ordered them from Amazon USA, and and had them shipped here. They were about $80 for the like you've got JP there, the signals at the front.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference too. The other thing I did is I went to Harley-Davidson and I bought, the bumper light on the big bikes like I've got. It has a bumper tail light.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's the headlight above it. Well, the bumper tail light, when it comes from the factory, is just a running light. It doesn't do anything. I ordered an upgrade one, which is LED, of course, because it's an upgrade one. And it is now wired. It's got the brake light and a running light. So it's a running light all the time. And then when I put the brakes on, I have my tail light and my brake light comes on at the same time. And that makes a big difference. I'd like to change the brake light to LED as well. I haven't done that. But I find, for whatever reason, the regular bulb in the brake light is pretty damn bright. So I'm not in a big hurry to change it. It does work.
Sure.
The other thing I would like to do is on my tour pack, I want to get the thing, the rack that goes on top and says Harley-Davidson, but it'll be a brake light,
Oh, okay. That would be good as well.
Yeah, it's good. Like if
And
yeah.
this is why Harley-Davidson will never go out of business, guys.
I know. We all buy that stuff, eh?
That's true.
Even if they don't sell new bikes, they can sell parts all day long.
I did want to make one point, though. I jotted down a couple of things when you were talking, Fletch. When I used to teach the course, one of the things that we used to always talk about, and I would encourage anybody who's thinking about buying a jacket for your motorcycle. You touched on it really good when you were talking about the how it lit up, because motorcycle jackets, any made to be a motorcycle jacket, has got to have fluorescent piping. And if it's not a motorcycle jacket, something you buy in a department store, like a leather jacket, looks cool, it's biker style, it'll have none of that reflective, and so you'll be just basically invisible. And so spending a little bit more money to buy one of any brand that is a real motorcycle jacket is going to be a better, safer jacket to wear with that piping.
Exactly. And I think a lot of the motorcycle riding gear, whether it's specifically for cruisers or adventure bikes and stuff like that, I think they all have to have that safety feature besides the armor and everything else. I think earlier we talked about the law with regards to lights. So we've covered the United States, we've covered Singapore. What's it like in Canada?
Well, I think we have similar laws as the United States. The only difference being is I know that the back lights are supposed to be amber, but we have so many US bikes here because a lot of people will buy bikes over the border and bring them here. And because cars don't necessarily have amber signal lights, they'll also have like red. It's not something that they'll ever stop you for. Like my back, look at you with the funny backgrounds. That's cool. If you like, I've got I went from amber to red, but it doesn't matter here. Like, it really doesn't matter. They don't care. Yeah, as long as you got lights.
That's true. But in Singapore, it's the opposite. Like I said, in all our bikes anywhere from the United States, from Harley, right? So if they come in with if they come in with red taillights, they get swapped out to amber, or at least they tell a dealership to swap it out, right? So there's a lot of things that they would insist on. In fact, I have an issue with the people here in Singapore. So they go by the letter of the law too much, I think. So long as your headlights are on, that's good, right?
Yeah.
But if originally your bike was halogen and you swapped it out to LEDs, that's not allowed. They'll tell you to swap it back out for an inspection. and you want to put it back on, it's fine. So I thought it's pretty weird. We're trying to get people and the associations to tell them that, hey guys, come on, we spent the money, we're more visible. It should be better for you, right? The other bikes have LEDs. It's okay to have the older bikes with LEDs anyway. You shouldn't be saying, oh, it's not stock, so you should decide to do what you need to do. So this is a little bit about Singapore. Viva la Banana is Glenn in Singapore. He's my good friend. And so people are quite casual with what they wear in Singapore. It's true because of the weather and everything else, unless they ride to Malaysia in proper gear. I've seen people ride Harleys with slippers in Singapore, but those are special people, man. Because now we're touching about safety a little bit, but that'll be a bit off topic. But in Singapore, I think I mentioned it in one of my videos, that the traffic police and the police force is embarking on a campaign that is trying to get you to gear up as much as possible. Excuse me. And so they're trying to push it a little bit, right? And that's quite sad that we have to do it here. Although Singapore is a pretty small place, so they're not really enforcing it too much, and because the distances aren't too high. But to me, like Kev, you're an instructor, when you teach them, in fact, the schools here say the same thing. You gear up or you don't get on the bike. Yeah. Not even for the cost, right?
The one other thing that I jotted down when you were talking, we've been talking about clothing and lights and all that sort of thing, but one of the things that I do as a rider, and I would encourage any of you guys, when I get on a big highway, I will indicate, but I always hand signal as well, because a hand signal and the blinker, it tells the cars behind I'm doing something, even if they don't know what the hand signals mean. And believe me, some of them don't. They will say, hey, you're doing something, right? This guy's doing something. He's giving me a signal. I don't know what it means, but he's doing something, and so they look at you. You'd mentioned that before a little bit about swerving, right? And it's the same thing with hand signals. You're given a hand signal, and so the cars are saying, hey, this guy's doing something,
Even if that car is going to report you for drunk driving, so at least they saw you. At least they saw you.
Exactly.
So can we go back to something that you brought up?
Sure.
So when you were talking about Singapore being a small place and they're very strict about the rules, I've been to Hawaii a couple of times, and speaking of, they're the opposite. They're not strict. As far as wearing flip-flops, shorts, tank top, and I mean, and it's crazy. It's crazy to imagine hopping on a motorcycle with flip-flops on. But
dude, look at Kansas. Kansas does the exact same thing, man. It freaks me out. My town here, you can see someone riding in loafers, shorts, tank top, no helmet, going 80 miles per hour on the highway. I'm like, just if you take a spill, you're not coming back, man.
Well, I guess that might be considered the good news. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Good philosophy.
I hate to say, but yeah.
So Ride Your Ride here says that hand signals are great, which is why I have white and bright colored gloves so that they notice me. So this is all about being visible, right? So anything that you can do to make things visible, even if you don't want to compromise your style. Singapore is a little bit special. We're working on it. I think they have already. Okay, obviously, we have a helmet law, and the helmet law is pretty strict. So you don't have beanies, you don't have those open face helmets, and everything has to be on a D-ring. You can't have those little catches, right? So that's a law. So if they catch you with a helmet that has a little clip, they'll actually fine you because it's not safe. Because they that if it's on a clip and it wears out after time, if you hit the ground, your helmet's going to fly off.
Sure.
With a D-ring, it can't come off. Right? It's dot rated anyway, so it won't come off, and you're safe, right? So that's one of the things that they talk about. And so they have a lot of laws that in terms of safety and stuff, but they're trying to, as their best as they could. They don't want to make it too regimental, where they force you to make sure you wear your riding boots. They could just have this campaign, but they can't put it into a law saying you can't wear flip-flops when you ride. You have to wear proper riding clothes and stuff like that because of the weather and stuff. So I don't know. I think they should, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. So I wonder, like Rurok's 2.0 out, the helmet that they have, it's like a magnetic clip, and they've done like some stress tests on it where they're like basically having the weight of a car pulling on it, and it doesn't disconnect until you actually do it yourself. So I wonder what would happen if you got pulled over with one of those in Singapore.
Okay, there's certain helmets. I think they're pretty. They still try to keep within the law, and you talk about the D rings, and they talk about the clips and everything else. And I think those helmets that like the Rurok, for instance, right? They're dot, right? I think they're Snell or dot, are they?
I know they're definitely dot. I feel like they're Snell since they're a foreign company, probably.
Right. So long as you have, I think there are three major standards in which you rate a helmet. So dot, Snell, and I think in Europe it's the ECC. I think I can't remember what it is. If anybody knows what it is, they can put it up on the side chat. So long as you conform to these three, and even if you happen to have a clip on, they're probably rated, so they'll let you go. So to answer your question, in Singapore, I have a Shoei modular, which is dot, right? And it's also passed the Singapore's test as well. So even though it's a clip, it's allowed. So I don't know. I think there's some double standards here somewhere, because I think most of the helmets that come in here are all dot anyway. Otherwise, they will not allow it to be on the roads. You can't just buy a cheap knockoff from somewhere and then not have it properly rated. So that's part of the law anyway. So they will still check.
ECE rated is what it is.
ECE rated, that's right.
Yep.
So long as you come under these 3 or 4, you're good. If there's 0 rating on it, no matter what it is, it's never allowed anyway, right? So we talked about bikes and how to get the bike visible. I know some people do, if they have luggage, they'll put the reflective strips around it. But that doesn't help you in the daytime, but that's good for nighttime riding. So what else, you guys, would you think that would help us be visible to other cars? Kev, as an instructor, maybe.
You know what? I almost hate to admit it, but I have one of those construction vests that I keep in my trunk. Right. And I keep it for not because I don't like the way it looks. I'll be the first to admit. But if if I get caught somewhere and it starts to rain, or I end up having to drive into the dark, I'll put the high vis that one, just because you know what? I'd rather be seen than dead.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the good thing is that a lot of the gear manufacturers like Magna and Climb, not talking about Harley-Davidson, right? So the other brands that people do wear, Climbs, Magna, and the like, all also have those high-vis vests that you could put on. And of course, Harley-Davidson started selling it as well. I noticed in the rack the last time I was there in the dealership that they actually sell those high-vis vests, right? Other than the vest that you put all your patches and stuff on, they actually have the regular ones. And of course, if you ride with Hog, they will have their marshals and the road captains all in the proper vests anyway.
What is kind of fun with me, because my bike looks very much like a police bike, because the OPP have like black on the front. Mine's dark blue and then a white bike. So when I'm going down the main highway, if I can dress properly, like the police sometimes they wear like a high vis jacket. If I've got a high vis jacket on and my white helmet, I'll go down to the lane and all the cars move to the right.
Nice.
That's true. Yeah, I realized that the glides. I know we have a couple of people here that have the old glides, and one of them actually has the police glide. In Singapore, we for whatever reason the traffic police rides the Japanese bikes, right? Either Yamahas or Hondas, and the ones for high speed chases, they use the BMW RR to make sure they can catch up with the super bikes. But for whatever reason, even when Singaporeans see the glides that are the police specials, right? They have the anniversary ones, which a couple of them have bought it, and everybody will start to pull off to the side, give them way, slow down, keep to the speed limit. It's so funny. And this guy's like roaring past them at about 80 miles an hour, you know, and he's not a cop. That's so funny.
That is funny. That is funny.
I know.
Well, I was thinking about, as you were talking about that, you know, when I watch these demo ride videos that guys do,
Right.
and we're talking about the guys that, you know, Harley's, I think they're catching on now. They're selling that. It's not an unattractive orange high harley-davidson orange, I think.
Yep.
High type. Heck, I'd one of those. You know, I don't think it's bad. But you know, safety and what we can do to be seen out there. I mean, short of brighter lights, I mean, yeah. What other choices do we really have other than that something reflective, which I really do believe makes a difference. You know, it's just not as cool. It doesn't look as cool. So,
but kind of like Kev was saying though, when he would put his vest on at night, guess what? No one can see you at night anyway. You know, you can look as goofy and everything as possible.
That's right.
No one's going to be able to tell you if it's raining, downpouring. They're not focusing on what you're riding. Just when you get to the bar or wherever you're getting to, just take it off real quick, throw it in your bags, and put your vest back on.
Exactly. I'm trying to get Webb to come in and join us as well. Yeah, I'm trying to get Webb to come and join us in a bit as well, because then we have another perspective from Australia, right? So we've got Canada, United States, Singapore, and then hopefully he can join in. Cops here ride the BMW K1300s. Yeah, they started
back
to do
in
that.
The office.
Oh no. Yeah. So my office is here.
When the C word takes back over again, he'll be working from home again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm actually at work, believe it or not. You know,
You're working
I'm working
as hard
from
as
home.
I do.
Yeah, and it's 10 a.m. here, so you know I'm just like keeping an eye on the mail here, and the other stuff. So we'll have to see.
So you're 15 hours ahead of us. So it's Friday morning in Singapore.
It's Friday morning here in Singapore. It's a work day for me.
You're in the future.
Exactly.
Tell us how it goes.
This is what it looks like. So, you know, I'm going to check the lottery for you guys and then let you know with the winning number in a couple of hours, right? Yeah.
And in the future, Kevin already has 475 subscribers now.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Dude, that's
good to see it.
Incredible growth over the past couple.
That happened in a hurry.
I'm at 450. I was at 459, and then it dropped down. So now I'm at 455, I think.
Yeah, it happens because of the bots and stuff, right?
I've been getting 25 a day for the last 3 days. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's good,
Fantastic.
man.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what happened. I think what's happened is my videos have started to catch on, and I'm getting YouTube pushing me.
Right.
And when you get, if you hit the algorithm, all of a sudden you start to get, it's like looking at my thing going, what happened?
You know, but to be honest, I think, to be honest, I think I know why. Because at the end of the day, is what everybody tells you. You get all these people on YouTube, and they're saying that we're the YouTube gurus, and the best way to do it is to have good content, right?
Yeah.
And they're right. At the end of the day, is the more people that want to see you, the more the algorithm pushes you out, right? So in your case, you started out these instructional videos, which I think they're really very good. A lot of us take for granted, you know, a lot of us like myself have had my license since I was 18 and I'm 57 now. So we tend to forget, and we get a lot of bad habits, just like the cars, right? If you get me to drive a car now, I would do it single-handedly, just like Limp Bizkit and all those rappers and stuff, when you're supposed to have two hands, right? And then instead of having your hands-free thing, we'll be taking your handphone and we're guilty of that, right? So it's the same with motorcycles. We know what was talking about, and okay, since we can't get web, can we get the Harley Roadshow in, and then we could talk about Australia's laws as well. But yeah, Kev, to me, Kev, the instructional videos that you put out is about content.
Yeah.
And the other thing with Kev's videos is they got quite a bit of comedic value to them as well. So, I mean, look at us. I mean, if you were to go diagonal and put us side by side, I think we could be related. I even think, man. I think you're my Canadian doppelganger.
Well, you guys wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah, so, I'm going camping.
Oh my God. So anyway, that's probably about it. And congratulations anyway for the growth, and I think that's really very good. We're all are really happy for you. But anyway, I like I was saying earlier, I think it's good that you're putting it out, because people like myself, I can speak only for myself, that at least you talk about stuff that we tend to forget and take for granted, right? Yeah. Recently you had the one on braking and doing the slalom on the cones, right? I think that's really good. We hardly do any emergency brakes. We hardly use it. But when it finally does happen, we don't know, or we forget to do the right thing, right? We slam on the front brake stuff, and so forth. And there we go. We got the Harley Roadshow. Hey, Paul.
Howdy. There you go, mate.
Hey, Paul. And I know, speaking of slamming on the brakes, at What's Up Bob could probably attest to this story. It was a Super Bowl Sunday here this year. We rode to the stadium to pay homage to our team, to wish them good omens. And on the way back, I locked up the rear. And that was the first time I ever locked up the rear.
That's what Flex did at the Blue Oyster Bar.
But
oh yeah, no, we're on to the Blue Oyster Bar now. Oh my God.
Much locks up the rear.
Hey, Paul. Hey, thanks for dropping by, man. I think I'm glad that you're here, because earlier, before you joined in, we were talking about being visible on the bike, things that we've done to the bike.
Yep.
And again, how we can be visible as a rider. And I think it would be great to have a Australian viewpoint, because there are a couple of laws as well that cover these things. Like, for instance, in the United States, it may be okay or not okay to have amber or red rear lights. But in Singapore, it has to be only amber.
Yeah, well, we've got to be obviously red stoplight and amber indicators.
Right. So, have you done anything to your bike to make it visible?
Well, being that it's an electric light, it's got that many bloody lights and dangly bits hanging off it all over the place. So there's not that much. The only thing I did do, I put one of those Daymaker headlights on the front, which is they're fantastic. Right. But other than that, no, I haven't really done anything else, because like I said, on the tour pack, it's got lights all around it. It's got reflectors everywhere and lots of stuff. So really, I haven't. That's all I've really done to it. But the Daymaker headlight, they make a huge difference. Huge difference, especially when you guys, some of you would know, I drive a lot in the country. So when you're out in the bush, it gets pretty dark out there. So those you want the best headlight you possibly can. So I found them really good.
That's
but
true.
as far as I don't know what you guys like over there, but the boarding laws now, if you're a learner rider over here, you have to wear like one of those reflective vests, like a full vest. I think that's for the first 12 months. I think it is that you're on your bike, and obviously you got a restricted amount of cc's you can jump on. I think it's about 650 cc's off the top of my head.
Right.
Because I remember and I think it's power to weight as well. Because I remember when I first got the first bike I ever got was an RZ250,
Right.
and that thing went like shit off a shovel. Like it just used to fly, and like in all honesty, I couldn't see the difference in why I couldn't ride a 600, but I could ride this RZ250, which honestly used to fucking fly. So anyway, they changed the laws again.
Okay. What about the laws with regards to headlights here in Singapore, and I think in some parts of the United States, I believe that it's mandatory to have it on all the time, daytime or nighttime. Is it the same in Australia?
Yep, same here. Yep. So all the bikes are. So this is motorcycles only. Cars, no, but motorcycles, yes. Right. Although all the new cars coming out now are pretty much as soon as you turn the ignition on, the lights are on. But motorcycles, yes, they've got to be on.
Okay.
And so I think every bike that's sold here now is, again, it's as soon as you turn the ignition on, the headlights on. So that's definitely and really, I did a couple of police rider training courses when I first got on the bike. Not when actually, as I went along, I did a Honda rider training course, which goes from level 1 up to level 4. Level 4, I think level 5, you end up going to Suzuka in Japan to keep going. But the police, when I did the police course, the copper that was doing it was talking about, how invisible you are. What he did was he held up a pencil, right, from I think it was about 20 feet away, and he said, hold up a pencil and see if you can see me. And just with one pencil, you actually can't see them. So it goes to show you what you want to have as many lights, bells, whistles, shotguns, whatever makes enough noise to get you up there as possible.
That's in Victoria.
That's right. We're in the nanny state here.
Sounds like Webb has a new video idea.
In Australia, do you have rules about the CC of bike that you can ride? Is that what you were saying?
No, only if you're a learner.
Okay, because
I think it's your first. So we have a learner period. So you can get your motorcycle license at 17, right? or your learner's permit at 17, and that gives you 12 months. Okay, and then you go on what they call probationary, which is P plater, and you got red Ps, which I think goes for a year, and then you got green Ps, which goes for 2 years. So essentially, you're on your probationary license for 3 years. I'm not 100% sure. I know definitely the first year you've got a limited range of CCs you can get up to. I think it's 650, which is why the Harley, what's that 500cc thing they got? That
the
Street 500, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the people are doing that, but generally what they do is they end up getting around on those the Honda
Rebel,
yeah, I don't know,
or Shadows,
that sort of stuff. Boulevards. So a lot of them buy that and then sell them and move into a Harley, unless you're into sports bikes, of course. So if you're sports bikes, it's still limited. Obviously, they don't have 2-strokes anymore, which is a spew because I still love my 2-stroke road bikes. I used to fang the crap out of them. But the last one I had was what was it? It was a Yamaha. I can't think what it was now, but it was a 600 2-stroke. And basically, it was set up. Oh mate, this thing was dangerous.
That's a monster.
Right? It was set up to race, and all you had to do was pop out the speedo and put in another tacho and change the slicks. You could go straight down to Phillip Island and race it. Right. I remember there's a road here in Victoria which is next to the Royal Children's Hospital, and it goes onto a freeway. And I pulled up with the lights there, and there was a guy in a sports car, and he was revving it, trying to keep. Well, I was still on one wheel, about a kilometre down the freeway, wondering where the hell he'd gone, and this thing was still going, still revving. I could have gone to the half length of the freeway.
So,
but I've mellowed since then.
I really think so. So, I know Singapore has some CC laws as well, and I think I'd almost be curious to know the statistics between traffic accidents involving motorcyclists here versus other countries. So, JP, you and I, And it may be, Kev, I'm not sure how it is up in Canada, but at least here, you could get your license just by going and doing a 3-day course. You get your full license. You could hop on a Hayabusa if you wanted to. There's no restrictions as far as, what it takes. I mean, you can get your license at 16, hop on a 1200cc Super Sport if you wanted to, and the government's not going to stop you. Now, is that the smart thing to do? No. But, I wonder if the gradual step up in CCs kind of makes you a better driver or a better rider overall. Because, I know if I was to start with a 500 horsepower Camaro, as opposed to a 92 Geo Storm when I started driving, things might have been a little different. But, what are your kind of thoughts on that, JP?
Well, I absolutely think that that we should. It should be staggered. It's not. I agree with you in the United States, but I know personally, as I rode, I started. My first bike was a 50 cc, and then a 125, and then a 250. I went up gradually. So, and I don't know if that was just my father who was guiding me, or if I just, if it just seemed like, I don't know. I guess I can't take full credit for it, but I can't say that was my decision, because I did have an 1100 in my 20s, and my dad did say, I don't like, it was a lot of bike.
I'll tell you what I reckon. What I reckon helps you. I reckon the most out of everything is if you do some dirt bike riding, or a lot of dirt bike riding. I reckon that helps more than anything to become a better rider, because you're trying to get around corners with wheel ruts. You've got dirt, mud, rock. God knows what. The front wheel's constantly trying to go out from underneath you. Your sensors are on overdrive the whole time you're riding, and I just think for me, I did a lot of dirt bike riding, a lot of motocross, and I just think it's just one of the best things that any kids can do. I bought motorbikes from my kids when they were young to get them into it. If they want to do it, they do it. But I think definitely do the. And it almost should be mandatory. I reckon you should have to do the rider training courses. You should have to do refresher courses, because not everybody's going to do it. Because you get a kid who's 18 years old and give him a bike that's got 1100 horsepower. It's a sports bike. There's a reason why they call us over here temporary Australians, because it's going to be it's a recipe for disaster when you think about it. Imagine putting an 18-year-old kid on an absolute thunderbolt and saying, now whatever you do, don't rev it too hard and don't go too fast. Well, the first thing he's going to do is get on the road and just wring its neck. And the second thing he's probably going to do is probably run off the road.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Good point.
I think talking about that, and Brett was right. In Singapore, we actually, I think since 1986, that they decided that enough is enough. People like me were getting our licenses, and we could straight away hit the super bikes the moment we get our licenses, right? So now in Singapore, it's broken up by CCs or by displacement. So when you first get a motorcycle license, it's a 2A license. 2B license, which means that you can only ride for a maximum of up to 200 cc's, and you have to ride for a year before you can sit for the next course and the next test. So you had at least a year under your belt with 200 cc's. Then the next one's called 2A, which then caps you at 400 cc's after passing that course. Then you have to hang on for another year riding a 400cc bike, or at least have that under your belt, and then finally doing a class 2, a full motorcycle license, before you could get the biggest bike you want, because by then, hopefully, in 2 years, we'd have gotten enough experience to be able to handle a much bigger bike, which I think is a good thing, because they found that in the early 80s, and at that time, it wasn't fully developed, and we had a lot of large roads with no control whatsoever, and everybody was racing, and we had a lot of accidents with the illegal races for motorcycles. I know I was a kid. I took part in one. I had a Kawasaki 750, and I was a crazy 21-year-old, right? Which I think is the stupidest thing to do. is put a powerful bike in the hands of a stupid 21-year-old, right? And of course, we're going to do stupid things to impress the girls. So, right? So I think it's a good idea that they put it. I'm not sure what's it like in the United States, though, in terms of licenses. So, JP, what is the license situation for a motorcycle over there?
Well, and it's changed, since when I got my driver's license. I was born in 1970, and so 1986 I got my driver's license. 1988 I got my motorcycle license, and I mean, literally all I had to do at that time, all I remember doing was passing a written test, the booklet test, and then you come back for the driving test. And the automobile and the motorcycle tests are similar in that respect. You have to pass the written test, and then you come back and do the driving test. All I remember doing on that motorcycle for the driving test was riding around in a circle, like really slowly. And if I put my foot down, I would have failed. And that's all now granted, that was 32 years ago, but that's all I remember from, passing that test. And then I could ride whatever I wanted. Now, I'd like to think that that's changed, that's not, maybe not quite as severe as in Singapore.
Right.
No offense.
No,
it's probably smart, I mean, it's a good idea. But I don't know what it is today. I know I have a friend who, a former student actually, who just started, got his motorcycle license, and he's like 20, and he went out and bought a 700. So that tells me that maybe things haven't changed.
Yeah.
So 700.
I mean, I got my license 4 years ago, something like that. Now I can't remember how long ago it was. I should know. It's the same year I got married. But all I had to do, I should know. It was 2016, so I'm coming up on 4 years, I think. So all I had to do is I enrolled in a course at our local community college. Basically, I did one night of classroom, and then it was 2 days of a mixture of classroom and actual practice. And on the third day, all it was you do a vehicle test, and you do a written test as well. And if you pass that, you get an endorsement that you just take to the DMV, and they just give you a license, no questions asked.
Wow. Okay.
Now, granted, these instructors, Harley puts these on locally here, but this one was done with Motorcycle Cops, so I felt really comfortable with the information that they gave us. But like JP, you were saying, if you put a foot down, you failed. There's a little bit more leeway in the testing system now, because I'll be honest. Now, not on the testing, I did drop the bike, not in testing, but when they were making me do the figure eights, I fell, and I felt stupid. But I can do a figure eight now. But that was the thing. It's like it was a good thing for me to feel what it was like to fall, so that way I knew what to do in case it did happen again, which it did.
What you generally do if you fall off your motorbike, what I've found is the best thing to do. Pretty much, you need to be flexible, but generally what they reckon to do is put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye, because if you're going fast enough, that's it. It's all over.
Yeah. Luckily, my little spill was only going about 5, so I didn't have to kiss my ass goodbye anyway.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I did the heart training thing at Honda Australia, my then brother-in-law, he's ex-brother-in-law now, but he came along, and his name's Norm. And Norm would have to be the biggest know-it-all I've ever met in my life. But anyway, he wanted to come along to this rider training course. And I happen to know that one of the instructors, whose name was Carl, who was an enduro rider, and I knew him through enduro racing, which I did a bit of. So I knew him, right? Anyway, so we did this, I think it's a 3-day course or 4-day course, whatever it is. And at the end of it, he sort of, we became chummy out of it. He goes, look, hang around. He goes, we've got a new VFR. Once everybody goes, you can have a ride of it. So yeah, beautiful. No worries, because they got like a small racetrack, right? Anyway, so Norm goes, I'll go first. I go, all right. So I'm sitting there talking to Carl, and Norm jumps on the bike with the other instructor, next to him, and they take off. Now, in the middle of this racetrack, there's like a huge amount of dirt which they use for like motocross stuff and that, right? Anyway, so off they race in this VFR, and Norm tries to undercut in the corner the guy from Honda. Now, obviously, the guy from Honda is a shit up rider. And anyway, next thing we hear is bang, crash, boom. Oh, fuck. So I look at Carl. Carl looks at me. So we start running, right? And here's Norm entangled in a cyclone fence with the brand new VFR mounted on one of the cyclone fence poles, right? Stuck 8 feet up in the air. Right? Anyway, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh my god, this is the most embarrassing moment of my life!" Right? Anyway, so we're fucking untangling Norm out of this fucking fence, right? So we're getting him out, and then there's 4 of us trying to lift a VFR off the cyclone fence post. Needless to say, I said, "Oh yeah, we're not coming back. That's it. We're done. We're not coming back." Fucking hell, mate. On the way home in the car, oh, mate, it was silent. I looked at him. I said, mate, are you fucking out of your... Like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God.
Completely rooted this brand new VFR. Like, just so embarrassing.
That is
Oh my God.
So we haven't heard from
crazy.
Kev yet.
I don't mean to do this, but I told you I had about an hour. I've gone a little bit over. I didn't know we did this for 3 hours. How about if I catch you guys next time?
Of
Can
course,
do, man.
man.
I've
Dude,
thoroughly-
JP,
Problem.
I've
thank you for
thoroughly
coming in,
enjoyed it.
man.
It was nice to be, doing this with you guys. Harley Roadshow, thank you. Nice to see you. Superman Kev,
You too, mate.
see you. All right, guys.
Have a good one, guys.
Great
And there
night.
goes his
Helpful,
internet.
you know.
Good timing.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks, JP.
Catch
Okay.
up.
So, Kev, we haven't really talked too much about Canadian laws. Like, is it pretty straightforward to getting your license up there?
Well, getting your license is much like what you were saying. Like you can, when I got my license a long time ago. But when I got my license, you just wrote a test and you do a little. They'd watch you in a parking lot. I actually did take the course, which was like what you did. But when you were finished, you got the full license. There's no restrictions here about what CC bike you can get once, and I really disagree with that, because my son, when he got his license, I would not let him buy. I bought him his first bike. It was a Honda Twin Star 200, and it had a top speed of 90 kilometers an hour, which is not very fast. That's what is that in miles per hour? 90 kilometers an hour.
60?
Not even. I think
55, maybe?
55.
55, 50. Yeah.
And it gets there in about 10 minutes. So
Downhill.
but
Downhill.
yeah, that's right.
with the tailwind.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you talked about anybody could buy, and my son wasn't able to buy a bike with any significant CCs. He wanted to. He was a pretty good rider because I made him practice, and we went into the parking lots and we did all kinds of stuff. But what stopped him was insurance rates. Insurance rates here are insane. And to get a bike, like a 650cc sport bike for my son, who was like, 20, the rates were about $1,000 a month. For a month. Yeah. For a bike like that, because that's how they stop riders from having those bikes. Some insurance companies will not even insure a sport bike at all. And the ones that will insure sport bikes will only insure it if you've been riding for like 5+ years.
Right.
So they'll let you do a sport bike. They're much more willing to they like old guys on Harleys because they go slow.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because Webb said something before, and he's 100% right. The biggest group of bad accidents is older guys who haven't ridden for the last 30 years decide that they get a bit of money and they go and buy themselves a Harley, and they're just not used to doing that, and bingo bango, they fall off.
Yep.
Exactly right.
I was gonna go somewhere with that, but I forgot where I was going with it now.
It's true.
Oh, dang.
You get the guys that are coming back in, and they are the worst. Like I used to find when I was teaching the course, the worst students were not the new ones. The worst students was the guy who was 50 years old, who had rode 20 years ago, who thought he knew everything, would come in, and you couldn't teach him anything. And he wasn't able to, he wouldn't listen, right?
Right.
That was normal.
They were the worst.
The exception to that rule is at What's Up, Bob. So, Dad, that doesn't apply to you. But no, like you were saying with the insurance rates, that's where I was going with that. I'm actually kind of happy. So I am 37 now. So I started riding when I was 34. I'm actually glad I waited till I was 34 because I knew the stupid crap that I did with cars when I was in my 20s. If I was to have a bike, I don't know what I'd be doing. Probably stupid stuff on a bike in my 20s. So I'm actually kind of glad I waited, got a little bit more mature. And then it just so happened that the year I got my bike was the year that we also found out that we're having our first kid. So that even humbled me a little bit more, like safe and slow is the way to go. So
that's what your wife said.
Yeah, that's what she said. Always got to get that into an episode somehow.
My first bike was an Interceptor.
Nice. Mine was a Dyna.
Mine was a Kawasaki 750, I think. Anyway, so I think going back to safety and everything else, Paul, we talk about your bike and lights and everything else. What about the stuff that you wear when you ride? Do you go for high vis? You just stick to whatever is being sold by Harley?
No, I just go for leather. Obviously got leather jacket, leather vest, leather gloves. I've got a showy helmet, leather boots, protective jeans.
Oops.
Look, as far as visibility goes, I think visibility is a good thing, but I also think your own rider awareness is even more important, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can be as I mean, let's face it, people run into trucks. You couldn't get anything more visible than a truck. Okay, so I think you need to be constantly vigilant. I'm always, if I'm coming up to intersections, I'm looking at the car. I'm looking if the bonnet's starting to lift, which gives me an indication that he's probably going to take off. I'm trying to get an eye lock on their eye to see what they're thinking. I'll never ever sit in traffic. I'm always either ahead of traffic or back off from the traffic. I never sit. I don't lane split because I reckon that's just that's a recipe for disaster. But I'm constantly trying to look and predict what every other idiot on the road is going to do. That's that's what I'm constantly looking. I'm constantly hyper vigilant. Always thinking, 3-4 steps ahead. What's down the road, and I think that's almost more important than no, it is more important. I think it's. Kevin, did you say you're an instructor?
I was, I was for 3 years.
So you would have taught that. Sure, I would think. Visibility to be visible is one thing, but I think you're far better off to just assume that everybody else on the road is a complete moron, and you need to compensate for that. One thing it does it makes you a completely better car driver because again you're far more vigilant and all that sort of stuff. But I constantly predicting what people are going to do. Looking at intersections, slowing down when you come to an intersection. I never ever take any notice of red lights. If I'm going through a green light, I'll still slow down and look both ways to see what's coming through that thing because I think it's some ridiculous amount of accidents are people going through red lights. right?
Yep.
And I tell my kids, even when, with all the driving lessons, do not assume because you're going through a green light that the guy coming through the red light is going to stop.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel like riding a bike is basically playing a big game of chess where you have to actually think the 3 or 4 steps ahead. Like, I mean, I see this car coming up here on the right who's there, but I'm actually looking even 3 streets down to see if there's someone, peeking out or anything like that. So I think, Paul, you just hit nail on the head. That's perfect analogy. Constant lookout. And hey, Full Throttle, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
Hey, go, mate.
Hey. Hey, Full Throttle. You're welcome, and I'm glad you could join us. And we also have this guy. Scousty himself.
Look what the fucking cataract did.
Look what the fucking
show is over now.
Exactly. And I should change it to the Blue Oyster Bar.
Yeah. How we doing, lads?
Good,
very,
man.
very good. Very, very good.
Good.
Saying hello to Scouts Adventures and Full Throttle Junkie. Today's topic is about visibility and bike safety. Maybe we start off with Full Throttle Junkie, man. Have you done anything to your bike to make sure that you can be seen on the road or not be seen on the road?
Well, I mean, as you can tell, I only have one bike that you can really see. That's the Ninja 650. But as far as a safety standpoint goes, I actually just installed a dash cam on the KLR 650.
Right.
They sent me out. The company sent it out to me to do a review and stuff on. So, but it.
We can't see it here.
Scouts doesn't have to worry about any sort of safety. He drives a fucking tank.
Exactly.
I mean, the only thing, gear is my main thing. Is I try to wear full gear. And just like you were talking, be vigilant, pay attention to what your surroundings and stuff like that. And one thing that is on my pet peeves is when someone pulls up, because when you stop at a light, I always try to stay to either side of the car. That way, if you hear something coming, you could shoot between those cars.
Right.
Well, people, for some reason, think they can get right up on you when they're in that space, man. And that just drives me nuts.
They get a dirty stare from me when they do that.
oh no, I completely I'll throw them gestures and
not just hellos, huh?
yeah, no.
Kind of looks like this, kind of.
What are you doing? Yeah.
I showed them my ring.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys seen Mr. Bean's thought when he said that was a nice gesture, and he's over there flicking everyone up like, hey! But no. So as far as safety stuff, visibility stuff is always good. The high vis stuff and like that. But it's kind of hard looking like a highlighter running down the road.
That's true. I think besides the camera and positioning on the lanes, what else have you done? Anything else to the bike in terms of lighting and stuff to make sure that you're visible?
So actually, the KLR 650, the stock tail light, I just didn't feel it was bright enough, so I just went ahead and popped an LED bulb in there, and it's lit up like crazy from the back. Because that's the one bike that I really ride on the road a lot. That bike sees more road time than any of my other bikes. Everything else is just a quick run to somewhere else. But definitely LED lights will help out with that, brightening things up so you're a little bit more visible. LED turn signals is another one. When they and reflective tape too. I have reflective tape on the panniers of the KLR.
That's a good idea.
So yeah,
excellent.
And I got a little triangle cut out.
Yo.
Well, Scouts. So we were talking a little bit earlier. So we've got people from across the country: Australia, Canada, United States, and now, of course, you could probably talk about England as well, about the laws there.
Is it mandatory for you to have your headlights on all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, mate.
It is,
I think
right?
I think that's probably. I think we're obviously talking about bikes here clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, mate. To be fair though, I think most of the bikes are built in. The lights, as soon as you put the ignition on, the lights come on.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, so it is what it is, man. The lights come on for safety. So
the only bike I can turn the headlight off on is the Daytona. That's the only bike that I can switch the headlight on and off by a little switch on the top of it. But all the other ones, you turn the key on and the lights are on no matter what.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. But yeah, you've definitely, regardless of choice, your lights are going to be on. So,
That's another good point too. Is about safety. Is lane filtering. I guess you get some lane splitting, lane filtering. That's another safety thing. For me, anyways. But
the spotlight shoot from my bike.
That's probably the best. Actually, the reason why I brought that up is because it's about the law, right? In Singapore, it's mandatory for you to have it. The older bikes, they get you to go into the workshop and hardwire it that you put on the ignition. Because the older bikes, you literally have a switch you can put on and off, right?
Oh, yeah?
Yep. So they made sure that, just like the Daytona, right, for Full Throttle Junkie. So a lot of the older bikes have to have it sent back to the workshop, have it rewired so that when you start the ignition, it comes on and it stays on. Newer bikes, of course, it's that way anyway.
Yeah.
And that's why I was asking about the other countries. I know in Canada, they have a law, but I think pre-70s, they don't do that. So I'm not sure about the UK. It's probably mandatory for everything, right?
I think so, mate. And then if it's, from what I can remember, I think I've always seen bikes with lights on. So for me, it's just the norm, So maybe for the older bikes where they can actually switch it on and off, maybe there is a rule. I don't know, but I've always seen bikes with lights on. So
they're grandfathered in under the old law, but you'd be stupid not to have it on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is an LED bulb in here too, because the regular stock headlight on this thing, I've seen candles brighter than it.
Well, it's sort of the same deal with like an old car without seatbelts. If you've got a car pre-65 that didn't come with seatbelts, you can drive it without seatbelts. But who would?
I mean, for nostalgia reasons, I kind of understand it. To keep a car original. I have a '62 Ford Falcon, and I have a 5-point harness in it. So
nice.
And Scouse, have you done anything to your bike to make it more visible?
Yes, mate. I put a set of short shots on there so fuckers can hear me coming from miles away.
Loud pipe saves lives.
Yeah, well, exactly. No, to be fair, mate, there was already an LED backlight, LED blinkers, and stuff like that. I did change the Full Throttle said he changed the main light for an LED light. I did that, and yeah, just make yourself known on the road, make yourself big on the road. Don't sit off to one side like the other side. Sit sort of just off to one side where the traffic's coming by you, because they're going to see you then more than sitting in the middle or off to the side. So I'll just make yourself known that you're on the road. That's what I do. Exactly. You can hear me coming from miles away. So
if I'm on the highway, I feel more comfortable on the highway because everybody's moving the same direction. Yeah. And my rule of thumb is I normally tend to ride a little bit faster than traffic. Sorry. Just like, not even like, I'm talking about like, just like 5 miles faster than what traffic is moving along. That way, I don't have to worry about someone coming up from behind me trying to get in and hit me from behind. If I'm moving a little bit faster than traffic, and just watch your lane positions and stuff like that. And I'm watching every single car.
Well, when I did the police rider training course, the copper that did the instructions actually said to all of us, if you ever get, he advised to be ahead of the traffic all the time, 5 to 10 k's ahead, right? He said, if you ever get pulled over and the copper wants to give you a fine, he said, give him my name and tell him to ring me. He goes, and I'll get rid of the fine for you. And it actually happened to me. I was coming up the Princess Freeway here, I was doing exactly that, and I saw this copper coming up from behind me. He was cutting in between cars. I go, he's going to pull me over, guaranteed, right? Anyway, he pulled me over, and he started going on. And I said, well, you know what, mate? I said, I just finished doing a rider training course. And the copper there, I can't think of his name now, but he said, look, if I ever get pulled over for this exact thing, to ring him and he'll put it straight. He goes, oh, really? I said, yeah. I gave him his name and number and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he didn't ping me for the speeding, but what he pinged me for was where my rego label was. I used to put it like on an angle across my number plate, so if the speed cameras freaking picked it up, I wouldn't get pinged. So he fined me $50 for that, but I got away from the speeding fine, so I was happy with that.
I was gonna say, what country is that?
Australia.
See, I don't think that would work here with these American cops. They're like, yeah, my instructor told me to do that. Oh, did he now? Okay.
He'd probably fucking tase you. He'd probably shoot you or tase you.
Yeah. No, I actually get along with the cops in my area here, like my local cops. Such awesome guys. They know that I'll go out and I have this one road where no one ever goes down, and I go out. I take the DRZ out there and I do wheelies all the time, and they stop and they'll see me, and they're just like, yeah, we know what you're doing. They're like, we're never gonna say anything to you because there's nobody out here. There's no traffic. There's, no one to get hurt, other than myself, and they don't care.
Wow.
I'm very fortunate to have that.
Yeah, also, when they shoot you, there's nobody around to be witness either.
Oh, actually, in America, everyone's got their camera out to film it, dude.
Yeah.
I do know, like around here, kind of like you're saying, cops around here are actually pretty cool. I know when this whole C word stuff started, and they made us stay at home. They said, "Hey, you guys can go ride. We don't care. I mean, you guys are not doing anything wrong." Whereas, like 3 towns over from us, complete opposite. They were saying, "Nope, you got to get home. You got to get home." So,
Yep.
It does do some wonders to actually build that rapport with your local PD. So, if you ever do have to try to talk your way out of something, but yeah, local PD, great. Highway patrol, I'm not friends with at all. Highway patrol hates me.
Highway patrol hates everybody, man.
Where are you from, Chopper?
Kansas City.
Oh, okay. Yeah, highway patrol is a different breed. Especially I'm in Florida, so they're even here, man. They're just, I don't know. I don't know if they're mad that they're not cops, but they are. So
my 3 run-ins have all resulted in tickets, and my run-ins with local PD have all resulted in warnings. So
yeah,
the highway cops are like the shittest of cops. Are we allowed to swear, Fletch? Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, you're allowed. I'm not monetized.
Paul broke that a long time ago.
They're like
Go for it.
Coppers up here, and you've got highway cops down here, like the shittest of the shit. Or you got 3% on the test. You go be a highway cop if you want. Oh, okay. Ooh. Fucking sitting there with your speed gun, you little rat. Sorry.
No, that's fine. You're absolutely correct. Here's the funny thing. I'm not sure if they have it, but when I used to have the Garmin GPS, it would actually detect radar. So if someone's trying to gun you, they would actually pick it up and tell you that, there's a speed cop in front because we're detecting some radar, right? So I'm not sure about the rest of them, but that's why I only buy Garmin, because then I know if I'm tearing down the highway, so the fuckers won't get me as well.
Yeah. Mate, if I'm going to work or coming back from the work and they're on the opposite side to me, I'm flashing every fuck I tell them they're there because
that's what they do.
Back in the day, I don't know if
they do this in other countries, but if on Google. Now they have this little thing in the corner. It has your speed, and it has a speed limit, and then it shows your speed. And if you go over that speed limit, it shows just straight red. You're like, oh crap!
And I do know, speaking of looking out for the PD, yeah, Ride just said it said Waze, WAZE. Basically, if you see a cop, you kind of say, hey, there's a cop poking out here, and then you have your GPS up, so you kind of know where they're kind of hiding. So,
well, they've got an app here that shows you all the speed camera locations.
Nice.
I love chips, man. I love chips. Only the chips I like come with fish. Fish and chips.
Oh my God.
Fish and chips, boy.
Oh man.
But anonymous, you just sit in the side chat gobbing off, doesn't he?
Anonymous. Oh my God. I mean, that being said, I think when Full Throttle Junkie talked about this, the plates and everything else. Someone here in Singapore came up with a special paint, that you can put on your license plates, right? It doesn't work in the daytime, so that's why a lot of them like to ride at night. So if you flash by a speed camera, when it flashes, it's just washed out. You can't see it.
Nice.
But physically they're not covering it, so there's nothing illegal. But I think the cops are getting smart to it already here. So during inspections, they actually switch off all the lights and shine on your license plates. Then they tell you, mate, that thing has to come off.
The bikes here, some of the guys here, sport bikes, they'll. I'm not throwing all sport bikes in this category, but
sure.
They don't even run a plate because once they reach a certain mile per hour, the cops can't chase them.
It's because they can't read. Highway cops can't read.
But now they around here, the cops actually set up a sting and busted a bunch of guys for street racing. Arrested a whole bunch of people. They did a whole operation on it.
Oh my God!
You know what I love about Canada, right? When I'm driving to work every morning, it comes on the radio. The radio tells you where the cops are with the radar guns. It's crazy. Well, the cop was after Junction 4 on Highway Number 3. Blah blah blah. Keep your speed. That's crazy.
Do they do? I don't know if they do it over there, but we've got here in some places, like especially at country highways, they'll have a white mark goes across the road, and they'll have another white mark, say about 1.5 km up the road. Yep. And what they do is they fly helicopters or airplanes, coppers do, and they time you between one white line to the next white line, and then you'll be 10 k's down the road, and a copper pulls you over, and you're thinking, how the fuck did he know that I was going that fast? And that's why.
Yeah.
They radio ahead.
Kind of funny. I was 2 years ago, we were in Iceland, and nobody was speeding, and I got talking to somebody from there, and I said, hey, why does everybody is so well behaved with the speed limit? He said because they've got speed cameras everywhere, and the speed cameras, there's only one fine. The fine is it's equal to about $1,000 US.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
that's crazy.
If you're going 10 over, it's $1,000. If it's 50 over, it's $1,000. It doesn't matter. So you don't speed.
Let's do 50.
Yeah. Well, I just don't speed because you will get it because the speed cameras nail everybody.
Let's be honest though, if you're speeding in a land made of ice, you're gonna crash.
Yeah.
Great logic.
That was logic right there, man.
It was funny.
That's
I talked to a guy there with a Triumph, and he had knobbies on it, and I said, "Holy crap!" He said, "Well, with the roads that they have there, because there's really only one paved road, and it goes all the way around the outside, the ring road, and then all the other roads are dirt, and so without knobby tires, you couldn't go anywhere except the big main ring road or in the main city."
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So it sounds like an advanced place.
It was neat.
So, guys, what do you talk about the next topic before we start talking about the cops and what they wear, underneath
Lieutenant Dang.
yeah.
Fucking panties and brown.
So we were talking about visibility, and actually, we're going to lead into group rides. And I think a lot of you have done a lot of group rides. I know Paul from the Harley Roadshow has done a lot of group rides. Scouts for sure has recently done a lot of group rides. Full Throttle Junkie, I'm sure you have. And same as Kev. Kev, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your impressions of group rides, and what tips do you have to ride in a group?
Well, the biggest thing with group riding is making sure that you have that meeting at the beginning of the group ride where you go through all of the signals, the hand signals that you're going to use, and you talk about like you usually put, yeah, exactly. Those are the ones.
Well, tankies do this, right?
Yeah.
Tankies do this, right?
And the other thing is talking about where you're going to be stopping so that everybody knows where they're going to be stopping. So you have the route kind of figured out. And having your most experienced rider at the front and your most experienced rider at the back, right? So that they can pick up anybody that gets lost. I mean, and it always happens. Always happens. You guys.
What would you?
He's a dick, he's an absolute dick, and he's
I know.
Relentless tonight.
Okay, what would be?
You should have been here last week.
Love you, mate. Love you.
I know. Kev, what would be a good number of people to ride with?
You know what? That is a really good question. And we used to always say that a group bigger than 7 is almost too big, because what ends up happening is you get spread out too far. You end up taking up too much space, and then it ends up being dangerous because you get a couple of seconds between each bike. You've got a big space there. And so it's better to have like a group of 7 and then a space and then another group of 7 if you've got a great big group, and not have 30 guys all in a row, because what ends up happening is you'll get a car or a truck that will get upset and they want to pass, and it gets dangerous. It just gets dangerous. They end up coming into the middle of the group, and I've seen it happen, and it's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah.
That's how mirrors get busted.
As well. Not to mention
That's
anything
how
else.
you get black eyes.
I've never done that.
Never.
It's a bit like group sex. 2 or 3 people are up, but once it gets to 7, 8, 9, it gets fucking confusing.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Yes. So what about your experience, Paul?
With what?
The groups.
Both.
Don't forget, I played in bands for 30 years of my life. Yeah, I've got a lot of experience.
Oh.
But that'll be for another show.
I'll have to create a whole new channel for that one.
I know.
Oh yeah.
So group riding, mate.
Actually,
How many of you? You've been on a lot, right? And what's a good number of people that you've been on with? I still have that picture in my head, mate. Bloody hell! Oh my god! Oh, okay. Listen, people mounting bikes and mounting people. You know. So, oh Jesus!
You're just going to be careful where you stick stuff in the exhaust pipe. That's all.
Wait till it cools down.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Anyway, so I've been on a few, like a couple, like when we did the Brighter Days Festival with the poker run, that had like 1,000 bikes on it, like was massive, and but you know what? Everybody was cool. Nobody. You know, it really depends a lot on. It really depends a lot on the type of people that are in that group, right? Like sometimes you'll get, you know, some rides you go on, and it's just like full of dickheads, and you just go, oh, this is not going to be fun. You know, it's just guys cutting people off and, you know, undercutting and all that sort of stuff, and that can be really annoying. And generally, if that's like that, I'll just hang back and just let them go, and, you know, end up sort of, you know, tacking on at the end. But look, I reckon the optimum amount, especially if it's your mates, you know, between 5 and 8, somewhere in there, I reckon is a good amount. Because the other thing is too, somebody else said it before, you end up getting split up and it becomes frustrating, you know. So, but I reckon, yes, anywhere between 5 and 10 is probably the most you want to be sort of hanging around with, unless it's like an organised group ride. You know, if it's a bunch of mates, you know, 5 to 10, pretty good.
Yeah, if it's
What
a
about
charity
you?
ride and it's like
Yeah.
blocked off and everything, that's
Yeah.
different.
That's true.
Like
what about
I
you,
did
Full
one
Throttle?
down here.
No, carry on, mate.
I
Sorry, Jeff.
actually started out riding motorcycles just in group rides. My parents had bikes when I was growing up, and they would always go poker runs and stuff like that. And when I got to where I could figure out how to ride a bike, I didn't even have a license yet. So they were always hesitant on letting me ride. But in a group ride, they're like, all right, well, you can ride without, being, my chance of getting pulled over and getting a ticket would be less. So I started out just riding in group rides, and I've ridden everywhere from, just a few people to thousands of bikes. And I actually don't like riding in bigger groups anymore. Like you guys said, if there's like 5 or 6, it's perfect. But and even when there's those 5 or 6, I'm normally in the back, and I'll be tucked way back behind everyone else, and I'm probably doing wheelies in the back.
Or be back.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it all
Scott-
depends on your comfort level with
Sure.
with the groups and stuff like that, and ride with people that you're comfortable riding with. If you're on a newer group ride with a bunch of people, you might want to hang out towards the back. And like if the group is just cutting through in and out of traffic, speeding and all that stuff, that's something you don't want to get involved with. It's too risky.
True. Scouse, what about yourself? I know you've been on a lot of group rides recently. What is your take on group riding and
I think
and stuff like that?
it's always important, mate, to have more than one rider, because then it's just you on your own. So it's always a good thing to have more than yourself, clearly. But for group rides, mate, I found this out a few weeks back where we had one of the lads out with us who was a relatively new rider, and I stayed at the back because I wanted to keep an eye on the pack, because if he got stuck or he got whatever. I had the center, so I had the center on at the back, and I had the center on the guy at the front, so we could talk to each other and say, look, slow down a bit, he's struggling at the back, or So for me, I think it's all right, having all these fucking super fast Harleys and what have you, but for me, group riding is all about riding at the ability of the guy with the least ability, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because otherwise, someone's going to crash, someone's going to get hurt, or you're going to end up with like Full Throttle says there, you're going to end up with 2 people on their own, the guy who's relatively new and the guy that's marshalling him and keeping an eye on him, and everybody else is gone, and you're like, well, this is shit, So for me, it's all about keeping to the abilities of the least experienced rider, if that makes sense.
It does. I think it's a good thing that you mentioned that, because I'm not sure about the Harley owners group in the United States, but I believe that they probably follow the same practices. Normally, if you're in a Harley owners group ride, they will always put the new riders up in front with the road captain and 2 marshals, so they can keep an eye on them. And the good thing is that because they're not too confident, everybody will ride at their pace. Otherwise, you get all the experienced guys in front, and they'll be just tearing off and doing whatever they want, and everybody has to try and keep up. Which is great that you're a tail gunner, so then you can take care of them, because then you have your center and everything else, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mate.
What about you, Brett?
I mean, my biggest group ride, I think, had 5 bikes in it at the most. That's just the way I prefer. I don't care for big groups. I don't care for a lot of people, really. I am not that socially of a social person, I guess you could say, but I prefer small groups, and it's kind of like Scouse was saying, though. It's like you get that person, and I've never had this experience. The probably least experienced person I've ever ridden with was my wife when she just first started riding, and she was actually better than I could ever dream of when she first started riding. But the one thing you always have to worry about before you get in that group is, okay, so you do have that least experienced rider, the weakest link type of thing. not only do you have to watch out for what they're doing, you have to watch out for them going beyond their abilities as well. Because, they see that person in front. Okay, we're getting on this road here. We're going 55. Well, I'm only used to going 40, but now they're going to crank it up 15 miles per hour faster than they're used to going. And then, oh, you're keeping up at 55. That must mean you're good to go up to 65. And so it pushes them up and almost doubles what their comfort level was.
Yeah.
And that's going to lead to accidents and other things. So that's why I like riding with, people I know. I have 2 buddies who ride, my dad and my wife and I. I mean, that's really about the extent of our group. And, that's the way we like it. I mean, because we all know each other's abilities. So we know, if the group is made up of these 3 people, we can do these certain things. The group's made up of all 5 of us. We kind of take it a little bit different. So that's the key part. Because when you start meeting up with these, group rides that have 30, 40 people in there, you don't know what you're getting. You could be getting into a whole bunch of different fuckery that you don't even want to touch. Like someone was saying, they're swerving in and out of the lanes and everything along those lines. And it's just
a recipe for disaster.
It is. Yeah. And if I ever do encounter that, because I do plan on eventually going on, hopefully some sort of group rides where, it's put on by like a Harley dealership. And, if people start messing around, I'm not going to veer off and just go my own way, because I'm not going to be part of some sort of disaster that's going to end up on the news or anything like that.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I think Kevin said it best earlier. I think if it's 7 and more, we have to take into account the fact that we're going to stagger in a convoy, right? So it's several meters between each bike. You have 7 bikes. You're stretched over 2 kilometers. And if you're heading on a highway and the guys are trying to get out of the highway, I think that's where it starts to be dangerous. Anything more than that, if you're not aware of your traffic and you can't see the last guy, chances are that they're going to cut into you if you've seen it as well, right? And I think that's important, that we should keep it under a certain amount. Normally, if people like Harley or the dealership that organizes these huge rides of hundreds of bikes, they would normally break them up into smaller groups and actually have a break of 15 minutes, set the first group off, 15 minutes, set the next group off, so that at least we won't have people occupying about 20 miles, on the highway, and nobody can get off the highway because of these guys.
Well, you mentioned you mentioned staggering there, and I know I've seen it in your video, Scouse. We have just prairie lands up here, and we get some good 25 to 30 mile per hour winds.
Yeah,
it's hard to keep in your lane position 1 and lane position 3 because you're constantly fighting it. So you'll be in lane position 1, you'll get that gust of wind, and whoosh, you're in the lane position 1. And if you're riding with some people who follow a little too close, again, another recipe for disaster. So while staggering is great, it's it's dependent on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time we end up riding single file if it's on a windy day, just because we know there's no way that we're going to be staying in our 1, 2, or 3 lane position easily anyway. That's
it, but you've got to adjust to the conditions. If you don't adjust to the conditions, you're an idiot, because otherwise, honking down with rain, you're not going to be like fucking right next to each other. It's staggered. You spread it out so your braking distances are further and further apart. All that sort of stuff. You've got to ride to the conditions, especially in a group.
Yep. Exactly.
I ride with a friend of mine, and he's the only one that I can ride with like this. I mean, but because me and him have done so many miles together, we ride right next to each other, and he's always on my right and I'm always on his left, and it's always like that. And me and him can go from here to, like, we've been everywhere. But
that's the trust.
Well, that's because we ride together so much, and we constantly have our centers connected. So me and him can go wherever, and we stay in our lane positions. And if one of us wants to, go past a car, be like, hey, I'm gonna go this way, and then hey, I'm coming over, and we coordinate that way. And me and him, and he's the only rider I can do that with. Anybody else, I'm not comfortable doing that with.
The Senna is a game changer for sure too. I mean, and especially because if you can have your entire group linked up with like some of that mesh technology they have now, it's even better.
I haven't been able to do that. I've only been able to connect to one other person. I cannot connect. You have to do the Senna dance. I've done the Senna dance. I mean, I've got that thing down pat. I cannot get more than two. Just me and one other person. I've tried and tried and tried.
I think the most we ever got connected was 4 at once, so we were pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I followed it to the T. Like, keep doing it, and then like do it 4 or 5 more times. I'm like, this is just not working.
Now, is the center you guys using? Is it the like a 20S or what is the one that you guys use?
I think we have the 10R. My girlfriend has another Senna.
The newer centers have mesh technology in them, which makes the connection supposed to be so much easier. I think Blockhead had a video on them where they were literally just standing there and they hit the mesh connection. So anything who was looking for a mesh connection just instantly paired with each other.
Oh,
so
I
don't have $500 to drop for new Sennas though. So we'll do the Senna dance for now.
Exactly.
Boys, listen, I'm gonna have to drop out. So if it's all right with you guys, thanks for having me in.
Thanks for coming in, Scouts.
Hey, Scout, good talking with you, bud.
Yeah, always, mate.
Pleasure always.
Lads.
Are you on tomorrow night, Scouts? You on tomorrow night?
Depends. It depends. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the wife goes for it, but we'll see.
All right, sounds good, man. Take care.
You will be good. Take it easy.
All
right,
mate. Take care, mate.
But
have a good one.
Bye.
See you later.
Talk with you guys for a few more minutes, and then I have to go back to editing today's video. But,
yeah, we understand stuff that we have to do.
Yeah, I have to tomorrow.
Sorry, no problem.
I'm going riding tomorrow. I've got to get up.
Oh, okay.
I need all the bikes, the 3 bikes behind me and the bike that's outside. They all need tires, and the only one that doesn't need tires doesn't have an engine.
I was going to say, what's that bike there behind you?
This Sportster?
No, this is a 1972 Triumph Daytona 500.
Oh, nice.
That's a nice looking bike.
I'm turning it into a bobber.
Yeah.
Hang on, wrong way. Yeah, so I'm tearing it down.
Wow.
I got the engine up here on the table. So
that should be a good project.
Yeah, actually, I might be able to do this. Hang on. Hey, I got you guys on the EOS camera.
Yeah, rub it in.
Yeah, I'm on a cord, so I can't go too far. There's spider webs all over it.
That's my
neglected.
My little, I'm more impressed with my lift.
Is that a Harbor Freight one?
Yeah, the $400 one. I bought it on OfferUp for $150.
Nice.
Wow.
I would love to have one. I was detailing the wife's Sportster yesterday, and it was just the right height to hurt the back because it's like just enough of a bend over. Man, if I was just up just a little bit higher, then perfect. But
yeah, no, I have scoliosis and a bunch of other back problems, so that is a must. Like I said, though, OfferUp. Look on OfferUp. Facebook Marketplace, stuff like that. Like this guy had it sitting out in his yard, and the whole top of it was just rusted. So I took my wire wheel, and I, with the grinder, the whole top of it, and then I just got some enamel paint. I think enamel or urethane. I don't remember, but it's good solid paint. So I just repainted the top of it and with a brush and a roller. I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it serves its purpose, who cares?
Yeah, I'm gonna wind up repainting it and put some sand in the paint. That way, it's textured.
Sorry, Paul.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to go too because my mechanic just turned up to service my car, so I've got to.
Oh, okay.
Off.
Thanks for coming, man.
Take care, man. Nice seeing you, man.
Thanks for joining
in. Later. Great to see you all.
All right, man.
Have a good
one, man.
See you. Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
I do that, man. So this old YouTube channel I used to watch, 3-Star Recruits, they always would do that. Bye. Yeah. So I picked that up because they're no longer doing YouTube. So I kind of took it from them.
The Woody Show, I'm not sure if you guys listen to their national syndicate, but they use that bye all the time. Anytime someone doesn't like them, and they just drop them from the airwaves. Bye.
Yeah. What up,
Hey,
Ryan?
what's
guys.
going on, man?
I've got
Hey
a
guys.
hey, hi.
He's got the mood light going tonight.
Man, you look like a real YouTuber.
See you guys.
Have a good
Like,
one, Kev. Clark,
detail on
Kev,
that.
Hey, have a good one, Kev.
Superman.
Thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate it. All right. Woo, yeah. Yo, ride. Hey, man. Listen, tell us a little bit about the bikes that you've done. Have you done anything to your bike to make it a little bit more visible, or are you just gonna split and don't care?
I got rid of my big O tail fairing. It doesn't help
Right.
with visibility, but makes the bike look cooler. And then I did upgrade my exhaust, so it's pretty loud. Like someone said, loud pipes save lives.
Save lives.
Which I really agree with. And then when I was living in the city, I was living by the coast, so there was a lot of fog. So I got myself some fog lamps. So they sit at the fork. That way I could see in the fog.
Nice.
And also, a lot. My lights are amber. The fog lamps are amber,
Okay.
and it helps. People notice that when I'm lane splitting, or even at whether it's daytime or nighttime. Because I run with high beams and those on when I'm lane splitting, and people see that, which helps. They make way, they move. So it's more of being on the offensive side of being seen. So
That actually kind of gives me a good idea because I use Rogue Rider Industries for my fronts, and in my old cars I used to put like a yellow film on the fog lamps because it really does, like you were saying, the amber and the yellow, it really does actually cut through the fog, and it actually is a very high visibility. Kind of wonder what it would look like because the Rogue Rider goes from yellow to or white to orange as they kind of blink. I wonder what the orange would look like with the yellow film on it, though. If it would still function, or if it's always just going to look like it's always turning. But
no, I think that orange would probably overtake that yellow. So I mean, it might change the tint of the orange, but I think the orange will still show up.
I might have to see if I have any of my yellow film left from my car days and just experiment with it, because I think it'd be kind of cool looking. Maybe not. It might look hideous, but film is film, and just rip it off.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about right? Would you wear anything high vis when you ride?
no, well, I have a yellow backpack that I wear because it's pretty large. It's hard plastics, and it's also CE rated, which is pretty nice. It's a Bumble backpack. It's a bubble backpack, something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's bright yellow. But for the most part, I like wearing black. The only thing that I like being seen is my hands, because I used to ride bicycles in the city, so I use a lot of hand signals. Right. So I'm very I like it when people use hand signals, and I do the same. It helps communicate with people.
Yeah.
But
even if we don't know what they mean.
Yeah. You just see
Man,
something.
I had one today. I on my DRZ, I don't have turn signals on it, and I stuck my hand out to get over, and this lady, I get over in front of her to take off a little bit, and then I get back into the lane I was past the car, and she pulls up next to me at the light. She's like, "What the fuck are you waving at?" Sorry, excuse my language. What the hell are you waving at?
No worries.
You know, I'm like, I wasn't waving at you. She's like, "You're waving at me." I said, "No, that was my hands letting you know I'm coming over. It wasn't, hey, how you doing? You know, hi."
I think that's a funny thing, right? You know, we all have to go for classes, and we have to take the test. And I'm not sure. I'm sure it's the same all over the world, and in Singapore it's the same. When we take the highway code, they call it the test, right? And one part of the test is that you have to be able to identify all the hand signals, right? When it's left turn, right turn, because it's supposed to only use one hand, right? So it's left turn, right turn, stop, and what have you. And I think a lot of people forget it once they get the licenses, and then when you have to use it, you're thinking, "No, where's this guy doing the funky chicken?" Right? Exactly. Right.
So I do this little thing where I'll stick my hand out, I hold up 2 fingers, and that way. Like,
I'm going that way. Yeah.
Nice.
Hand signals are good too, because not everyone has Senna. So in group rides, like pointing at your gas tank saying "I need gas," or using your toe to like mark debris on the road.
Yep. But you got that's assuming the person behind you is paying attention.
that one means there's cops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that the same in Singapore?
What was that again?
This here in America means cops.
Oh, cops. Okay. Because the reason why you did that, and I was a bit distracted. I just remembered that all of us anyway, most of the males here in Singapore have to be in the military. We all served in the army, so that signal is actually to assemble. And normally we will use that to like once we're all starting to ride off, right? We will start to do that, so everybody will start to form up and then move off.
Nice.
So that's the signal. That's the signal to form up, and we'll use a lot of other army signals as well.
Yeah, you ever come over here and you see someone doing that? It means like there's a cop.
There's a cop. Oh, okay.
Slow down.
I can't remember what the cop signal is here in Singapore though, but I'm sure there is. But I think nowadays most of us wear a Senna or a Cardo or whatever communication devices there are. It's a thing that Chopper was mentioning earlier. We all sprung for a group buy, the 6 of us that we ride together, and we all have the Senna 30K. And I think it's really very good because we don't have to do that Senna dance anymore. We just tap one button and everybody's connected. And the moment someone just drops off or he's too far off, the moment he comes close enough, it joins back and we don't lose communication with anybody. And I don't have to think about the A, B, and C, D connections and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what I hate because it's always like my wife will be like the link to everybody will be my wife, and then all of a sudden, maybe she gets too far back, and then I lose connection with my dad because of it at the same time. So, let's go ahead.
On a dance.
Yeah, this Viva La Banana is actually Glenn. He's from Singapore, where I am. He's a good friend of mine. So I don't remember our driving school teaching. Hence, they do. But not on the course in the highway code, as I mentioned. And that's the last time that you talk about it. They don't teach you the hand signals while you're on the course. And we tend to forget it anyway, right?
Nice.
So what's your experience on group rides, right?
I guess a lot. My family, like I mentioned in the past, I come from a family that rides. Except for this year, in the past, we do a lot of group rides, family rides.
Right.
So that would be maybe the smallest would be about 4. And maybe sometimes we just have maybe 11 of us on the group ride. And then I've done a couple Harley rides. There's a group in a Harley group chapter in Sacramento that hosts a New Year's ride from Sacramento to Santa Cruz on New Year's Day. And that's about at least 150 riders. And it's like 2/3 Harleys and 1/3 of sport bikes. And that's interesting because the sport bikes, we just do whatever we want. Go fast, leave them behind. Everyone's just playing around on the freeway. And then we just meet at designated spots where we wait for everyone to come together, and then we leave together to the next spot. So
I think that's a good thing about the dealership or the Harley owners group, right? They tend to organize a lot of these kind of things.
They do.
And it's really good thing that they do that. I'm sure this particular ride that I'm going to talk about is something that they do all over the world, I believe. It's called a toy run. For Christmas, right?
Yep.
We do it for charity, and I think that's one of the few times that I really see hundreds of bikes on the road, right? And we have to keep to the hand signals and the safety and everything else.
Yeah.
But there's always a lot of marshals and stuff from Hog, so everything's pretty cool.
Yeah. So here in Florida, they the cops, when they do rides like that, the cops will escort the rides, and they're blocking intersections and stuff like that for the group to go through. So
Exactly.
they do that a lot here.
I think they do it because I think why it's big all over the world is because it's charity, right? We're doing it for a good cause.
Yeah.
Besides the ones that's organized by the dealerships, that's more just to get together and try to introduce. And it's not always just Harleys, but they also get the other makes of bikes to come in to try and sell them the Harleys, and hopefully they join us and like the thing, Yeah, but I think the toy run, exactly, they do. And toy runs are probably the best thing to have. And I try as much as possible to try to join them. And I think that's the only time that you have such a big ride.
One thing I
teddy bear on the back.
with, as far as safety-wise, is holidays. I try not to ride on holidays like New Year's, 4th of July, stuff like that, when I know that there's a higher risk of drunk drivers being out there. I try to avoid the roads at all costs. I don't even try to drive my vehicles out. I have a Jeep and the trucks and all that stuff, so I try to avoid all that, and I just stay home.
Yep. That's a good point. As we're talking about other situational awareness, that impaired driver on the 4th of July, Memorial Day, they're out there, and they're out there in droves. So I'm kind of like you. I try to stay home. We have to actually vacate our house usually over the 4th now, because where we moved to, it's like a war zone outside because they allow fireworks. And I don't know, it's insanely loud. We've been here 1 year, and now we've already basically have vacations planned for the next 3 years to get away from it. But we're going to be huddled up in a hole somewhere, though. I'm not sure where yet, though.
I've lost a good friend during New Year's, so that's why. New Year's, I guess you'd say New Year's Day, because he was leaving my friend's house.
Sorry for your loss, man.
Yeah. What's going on, Prairie Boy 77?
Hey, Paul Newman, come in.
There's also a supermoto ride that happens during summer. I don't think it happens on 4th of July, but it's around July. It's a big supermoto. They meet in San Francisco, and we go all over the city, hit a lot of destinations like Twin Peaks and Golden Gate Bridge, and go all over. So there's about hundreds of supermoto bikes just taking up the whole road, doing wheelies and stuff like that. And the cops are pretty cool with that. They see us. They just make sure we're doing it somewhat orderly. But it's a intense and fun ride. But really, you're just riding at your own risk. And the rule of thumb is it's your ticket. So just know what you're paying for.
Nice.
You got a supermoto?
I wish. I have an F-07, so that's somewhat close enough to ride with it. But I do.
You can keep up enough, huh?
Yeah. I got a DRZ.
Nice. You should come out for the Bay Area Supermoto. It's pretty big.
That's a long ways to go.
I was gonna say, I don't think my little DRZ 400 would like that highway ride.
Ride across the whole country. You got this.
I did that once. I rode from Arizona to Florida on a ZX6R.
Oh,
how'd that feel?
Oh, it was horrible.
Sounds like
but that's the best thing I ever did in my entire life, too, at the same time.
Yeah, right.
I learned a lot about myself on that trip.
Nice.
Once you get going, there's no turning back. You get halfway there, you're like, oh shit, might as well keep going. Gonna be broken either way. Might as well get there where I need to go.
Well, as soon as I hit Florida line, the bike caught on fire.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
I was leaking fuel out of it.
That's one way to be seen, Fletch.
catching on fire, right?
Catching on fire.
Don't always recommend it, but yeah, you'll be seen for miles for sure, right?
No, so it actually, I was at a gas station. The fuel pump went out, and I was changing the fuel pump. And I turned the key on. I didn't see it, but there was fuel squirting, and there was a crack in the header. And like, it was just a domino effect. And I hit the start button, and it just woof. I was like, "Oh crap!" So I ran inside to get a fire extinguisher. I got a fire extinguisher from behind the counter. The lady handed it to me. I turned back around. I started running towards the bike, and I looked, and the bike was out. And there's a cop standing there with a fire extinguisher.
Oh, wow.
I was like, "No way, you got that out!" Like,
Did you,
like I had to cut out a couple of wires of the harness and replace some wires, but that was it.
Yeah.
I rebuilt that bike here in this garage. After that,
Now, what's the longest distance you've been on any of your bikes?
that. Well, I mean, the KLR, I've taken up to Orlando, and I've gone all over the place with that bike. But I think as far as one ride, the longest distance would be, it was like 3,000 something miles on that ZX6R.
Jesus.
And it was a 99 carbureted.
Wow.
That sounds heavy.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite far. What about you, right? How far have you been?
I think maybe 400 miles. The Bay Area to Tahoe is my longest ride.
Right.
Not too sure how long that is or what that is in kilometers.
400. It's about, I don't know,
650?
600 to 800 kilometers.
I definitely want to do it again. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think I miss long rides anyway. In general, I'll be doing about 3 times or 4 times a year, 1,000-mile ride. We will literally cross 2 borders to get to Thailand, which is roughly about 1,000 miles.
Nice.
And there's some beautiful country there that you don't get to see. Malaysia has some of it as well. We do find some places that we go up in the mountains and stuff, but Thailand is where you have some really beautiful country, great beaches, great mountains as well. I mean, it's a beautiful place. So I miss doing those kind of rides. Can't do it just yet because of what's going on.
Do you speak the language too?
Pardon?
Do you speak the language there?
No. they you see, the good thing about and the funny thing about Asia, especially this part of Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, they all manage to speak English anyway.
Oh, wow.
Singapore and Malaysia is because we were part of the British Empire.
Yeah.
So everything's taught in English. In my case, I only speak English.
We were too at one point.
Yeah, and I think Thailand as well was influenced by the British as well, right? I think you've watched The King and I, right? The movie.
Yeah.
So they were quite influenced. So it's not impossible to find someone who doesn't speak English in Thailand. So it's not an issue. You go up there, they all speak passable English, so at least you can get stuff done and you can buy stuff that you want and have a good time and all that.
I'm afraid of by going to other countries, is not being able to speak the language, and it's here in America.
Sure. I mean,
but there's so much culture here. Like in America, you can have whole neighborhoods that speak a different language.
Sure.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they speak English anyway, so that's fine, right? But if you go to an asshole country like Paris, hopefully there's no French here. Even if you speak the language, fuckers will probably just call you off. I used to study in Switzerland for hotel management, and because we were in Switzerland, we had to learn French, right? And France is about an hour away, train ride. So of course, the weekends we hit Paris and have some drinks and everything else. And if you speak English, they ignore you. You speak French, and if they don't understand you, they ignore you anyway. So that's probably a country you wouldn't want to go to unless you have a interpreter or a friend there. Assholes.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world, you don't have that problem, I think. They'll still try as best as possible. Even in Japan, where nobody speaks English or not that many people speak English, you could go there and there will still be people who try to speak English or at least help you out, you know.
Yeah.
But France, no, what the fuck, you know.
So, all right, well, I gotta head out.
Okay,
Thank
man.
you so much, Fletch, for having me on. I really
Thanks
do
for coming.
appreciate it.
Hey
It's
guys,
awesome.
for the guys that are still out there on the side chat and everything else, if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe to Full Throttle Junkie and Ride Your Ride. I've left a link in the side chat for Full Throttle's channel, so please go check him out. I'll leave Ride Your Rides one in a minute, so that you can all check it out. Please go and subscribe. Hey FT, thanks for coming, man. I really am glad that you did.
Yeah,
Thanks for
man.
coming by. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Y'all have a good one.
And you too, man. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
So Glenn over there in our side chat is asking if we're fond of riding midnight runs or mostly doing day rides. I don't like riding at night to begin with, so I'm not going to put myself into a nighttime group ride. Just something with my eyes. I wear glasses, so I always get some sort of reflection issue happening, it seems like. So I try to limit my night riding. I'll ride at night, but I'm not where I would want to be, even skill wise, to want to even do a midnight ride.
Yeah, I mean, to be, I would make it a point not to ride at night, simply because we were talking about visibility on bikes, right? In where we're from, Malaysia, and I think Glenn can also attest to that. When you're riding at night, it's these trucks that don't even. We have trucks that don't even have brake lights on, and if you're not aware of your situation, you're tearing down the highway at about 90 miles an hour, and suddenly, you see the silhouette, and it's too late. You're gonna rip right through the guy, and 90, and you're finished, right? So I've seen it close and personal many a times when I was riding before, when I first started out, and that kind of scared me. You can have great LEDs and everything else, but it's still over a certain distance, and the faster you ride, that distance gets covered very fast.
Yep.
So no, I'll not ride, because it still hasn't changed even in 2020. There are a couple of times when I did ride up early in the morning before the sunrise, and I still do see trucks out there with no running lights. So I don't really want to die,
Yeah, right. So I think they call that here in the States like outrunning your headlight or something like that is what they refer to it as.
It.
Yeah. For around here, it's mainly the wildlife that we have to look out for, the deers,
that's true.
All that kind of sort of thing. And it's the same thing. It's a deer is basically a truck with no running lights for us. If we hit that going 90, 80, 70 even, it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah, that's true. Have you ridden at night, right?
Yeah, I ride a lot at night. All sorts of weather and time, and I enjoy riding at night, especially during the summer when it's hot and when it cools down at night. Those summer night rides are pretty awesome. And I know I shouldn't be going too fast because I'm only in a textile during summer, and textiles don't hold up after a certain amount of speed, but it feels good to ride at night when it's hot. But
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I usually will try to do an early morning ride. Like I'll go out 5:30 a.m. when the sun's not even quite over the horizon yet, and then I'll ride till maybe 8 or 9 that morning, because at that point it's about 90 degrees at that point of the day. So usually I'll get my hour and a half in, nice, bright and early, and then relax in the air-conditioned house all day, and then maybe go out for a twilight ride around 7:30 where it's doing the opposite thing, going down. So, but yeah, usually once I've only been caught out in complete darkness, I think like 3 times in my whole riding experience. It's just, if I can prevent it, I will. I mean, I'm not a real biker, I think.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you don't think I am either, Jeff? Great.
No, I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot about safety anyway, right? So with the decisions that we make whether it's to ride at night or what have you. I think a lot of it is about comfort level, safety, and your surrounding environment. I had a friend who suffered from night blindness, so there's absolutely no way he would be able to ride at night, right? So I think we were caught once sundown, and literally what he had to do was, because I had full reflective gear, right? He would ride behind me with a high beam on, so that way that's the only way he could see me.
Jeez.
I had to drop down to an acceptable speed, and I was just leading him all the way. So that's quite stressful as well for him, and also for me, because I had to keep checking that he's behind me, right?
Keep checking he's not too close to you.
As well.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. I think if I was 10 years younger, no wife or kids, I'd probably do a lot more night riding. Just
Sure.
like the appeal of it does sound good, like the way that Ride was just explaining it there. That there is something that sounds very relaxing and very peaceful to me. But again, it's more there is more of a risk for it. So given where I'm currently at in my life, I will stick to my sunlight.
Yeah, I would advise it anyway, to do something out of your comfort zone, or to do something to risk your life. It's not worth it. Not that if you're single like me, it doesn't mean that I can do the same thing as well, right? Sure. Which would you prefer, right? Day or night?
Depends on the traffic. the one with less cars. I know lunchtime is a good time to ride because most people are at restaurants and the freeways are cleared up. And then at night,
funny.
it's also nice.
It's funny that you say that. It's the opposite here in Asia. It's the worst time to be on the road during lunchtime because everybody's getting out of the office and going to get something to eat, right? So for at least an hour, there's a hell of a lot of traffic on. But night rides for me, I think when I was much younger, it was okay, to do night rides and stuff. In fact, one of the reasons why we do night rides is because traffic. There's zero traffic on the road, or hardly any traffic on the road. So then you can make up time. But invariably, you forget that visibility also goes down, and stuff is hard to see, and it's starting to be a little bit dangerous. I've had friends, I've lost friends that way as well. So that's the second reason why I've stopped riding at night, because I'm not going to play chicken with the trucks, right?
Right. I feel.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say real quick that I feel like riding 60 at night when it's completely dark feels so much quicker than riding at 60 during the day. Like it just seems like the white lines are going so much quicker by, even though you're going the same speed. It just that's what the mentality does to me. Like, oh, I gotta be heightened aware, I gotta be this, just to, and not for me.
Yeah,
right, guys.
I've also seen the taillights. Sometimes I think they're too bright, and you get the wrong. It's hard to gauge distance with cars.
Right. That's exactly what I was talking about. So it's either you can't gauge the distance and you don't know how far that person is away, or worse still, you get blinded, right? Because a lot of people who are less confident on the road tend to put on high beams at night, and then you get blinded as well. Then for that split second that you're blinded is the thing that could cause you an issue. Right. I think, guys, looking at the situation and Brett, I think we should be calling it a day.
This is pretty good hat hair here, actually.
I know the head hair is fine, man. I think it's pretty late at night there now, and I think you need to get to work. And
I got an early morning tomorrow. Yeah,
and I'm actually in the middle of work, so it's tough, right? So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Right, you're right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man. And for the rest of you on the side chat, Truckman, sorry, man. I wish you could have joined us earlier, but maybe next time when we can see yourself in Scout, and Truckman actually has just joined in for a minute. Good, man.
Right on.
I think we just keep it on for another 5 or 10 minutes because I think we were just about to wrap it up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah, no worries, man. No worries, man. there's a heaps of streams going on tonight, so we understand. Hey, but Truckman, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've done on your bike to make it more visible?
Which bike? The one I ride normally?
Your daily,
your
daily bike.
Too much.
Yeah. What do you ride daily anyway?
The one that I ride on my regular basis is my KLR 650.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you are they all halogens, or do you put on?
No, I got the
LEDs.
It's all factory right now. Other than
okay.
I added the crash bars and the luggage racks and
Right.
the extra skid plate. I think probably maybe the contrast between the color of the bike and the jacket that I wear, because I wear basically a white jacket.
Okay.
So
you're still a bit high vis at least, right? Yeah. Because basically
the only high vis that I could get for my body size that would fit me. I was having difficulties finding a jacket that would fit me, so I went with a white with black, so it's contrasting with itself. So
I hear you on the sizing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, today we were talking about riding and being visible and stuff that we did on the bike. I know JP has put out some videos on changing the lights, and in fact, I think the Blue Bike and Doyle as well. I was hoping that he could come on, and then we could talk about the stuff that he did on his bike as well. Yeah. Because I think it's important that we are visible, while we ride, more so than anything else.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. So
for sure.
Anyway,
it's
so
good to see, because I guess living in the city, I get lazy, so I only keep my tinted visor on all the time, even at night, because you could see everything. Everything in the city is pretty well lit, and I know my routes. So, as a new rider, I don't recommend that. But we all get lazy and comfortable.
Yep,
that's true.
Oh yeah, I feel you there, because I've gone and went, oh, my visor is so bug smashed up, so many bug guts on the visor. I'm like, okay, well, I could let it sit for 5 minutes with a wet cloth on it to clean it off, and no, I go right now.
I'll just go. Let's just get going.
Yeah, I should have cleaned it before I left. I ride
like
on
riding with the visor
roads
up and then hitting all those bugs yourself.
I can get onto roads right away where I don't have a lot of traffic, so that's where I prefer to ride, just to be by myself, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do think I'm out of time here tonight. So I do thank you guys all for coming in, Ride and Truckman. Thank you for joining here late. We will be on again next Thursday back on my channel. But yeah, we're not even sure what the subject's going to be next week. Guess we have to work out some fine details still, but
yeah, that's true.
Even if we don't have a subject, we'll have something going on for you guys. So we do appreciate everyone who stopped by tonight, side chat, and joined the channel. You guys are awesome. This wouldn't be anything without you guys, really. So thank you so much. We do appreciate it. And I am Brett. I am Chopper Fett, and this is my sidekick and partner in crime, Fletch. So I am out of here, gentlemen, and you guys have a good rest of your night.
Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Next week, of course, don't forget that this live stream will be on Chopper Fett's channel. Don't forget to join us then. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Truckman. Thanks a lot, Ride. Thank you, guys, in the side chat. Have a good one, safe rides, and great weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, same to